What's up Nakama, welcome to the part 8, of What If Luffy Had Koby Join His Crew, Chapter 24. What is this place? Koby asked, his gaze passing over the wrecked ships around them with a mixture of worry and awe. Luffy and Usopp were in similar states, the captain leaning more toward awe and the sniper more toward worry. Robin eyes their surroundings impassively, neither her face or her body giving any hint of her emotions. Have you ever heard the name Ape's Concert? Hanzo answered, the name causing the archaeologist to spin around and show some emotion. Ape's Concert? But that's nothing's impossible on the Grand Line, Koby interrupted. Aren't you the one who told us that, Robin? This place is awesome. Luffy called. Look. A marine ship. And that looks like a pirate ship. And that looks like a spaceship. Come on, Usopp. Let's go exploring. Wait, Luffy, Usopp tried. Don't get on the creepy abandoned ships to see it. There they go, Robin giggled, getting over her shock quickly. What shall we do while the captain and Long Nose are exploring? I'm going to try to contact the others, Koby answered. I have a feeling that they'll want to know what's happening. Lifting up his wrist, Koby opened the shell over his own baby den. The tiny invertebrate let out its dial tone while the pirates and Hanzo waited for an answer. California Lick hello? Usopp's voice answered. Is there a problem? Are we under attack? I told you we shouldn't have left, Luffy. Luffy? Luffy, get out of that. Sorry, Usopp. Koby shouted over the snipers yelling. False alarm. I'm trying to contact the others. Don't pick up next time. Alright. Sorry about that. Usopp hung up. Koby closed the shell before reopening it, the baby den ringing once more. Nearly a minute passed and yet there was no answer. Come on, Nami, Koby whispered to himself. Sanji? Jin? Chopper? Grace? Amy? Another 30 seconds passed, but, just as Koby was about to hang up, someone answered. Hello? Sanji asked. His voice was waver-why, kind of like he was talking through water. The snail's appearance mirrored this, one eye closed and its body sagging as if it was half asleep. Hello? Any there? Sanji. Koby yelled as if that would help. Thank God someone picked up. Listen, we're kind of stuck in another dimension. What? That was Chopper's voice. That was good, they were still in a group. It wasn't Captain Luffy's fault this time, Koby insisted. We met this scientist and then there was this old boat and he tried to take the Mariao down, slow do. Sanji told him. The young swordsman took a breath before starting at a slower pace. Alright, Sanji breathed. And question. Robin-chan unhurt? Yeah. Good. LL that matters. We have bigger problems, asshole. Koby shouted. Hey! Luffy called, him and Usopp returning carrying a chest between them. Look what we found. Is that treasure? Robin questioned. Treasure? Nami yelled through the den, but the connection was fading. Luffy. Ring. At treasurer. Ethu. Isle California Lick was that Nami? Luffy asked, him and Usopp lowering the chest to the deck. Yes, Koby answered. I got in contact with them. What's with the chest? What? Oh. Usopp and I found it, while exploring this old pirate ship. Luffy pulled back on the lid, revealing that the chest contained gold and silver in the form of coins, a couple of swords, and even a crown. It's got shiny stuff, so I figured Nami would like it. What? Hanzo questioned. The legends about the treasure of Ape's Concert were real? Back away from the gold and silver. A male voice ordered, echoing off of the ships surround them. Leave this place or face the wrath of the spirits that roam these ships for eternity. To coincide with the end of the threat, an arrow came out of nowhere and stuck into the wood just inches over a still sleeping Zoro's head. He didn't so much as flinch. Usopp screamed, ducking to hide behind Koby who instinctively transformed. Do not disturb the sleep of the dead or what the hell is that? I don't think these are ghosts, Captain," Robin commented. "The arrow came from that direction," Koby muttered, his hand pointing left. Robin nodded before crossing her arms. "Cease fleur, Manos." 6 arms sprouted on the window, 2 of them grabbing the crossbow and the other 4 taking hold of its owner and throwing them onto the Mary. It was a girl, if the screams were of any indication, and her weapon landed in Robin's hand. The girl had light pink hair that fell to her shoulders and big, brown eyes. She wore a blue jacket over a teal dress that turned white below the waist. "Isuka!" a boy's voice yelled. The owner of this new voice swung down on a rope, intending to barrel into one of the trespassers and knock them into the water. Rather than mowing Robin over like the boy had intended, the Triceratops hybrid jumped in the way, planting his feet and catching the assailant's momentum. "Let me go, you monster!" The new boy, who was shorter than Grace, had dirty blonde hair, a blue muscle shirt with a smiley face, blue pants, and a big nose. "You know," Koby said, shocking the kid, "usually, calling someone a monster doesn't make them want to do what you say. I mean, our crew is way out of the norm, but calling us monsters is an Akama-only privilege." "Wrongo." "No." The girl, Isuka, called. She reached for her friend, but more arms bloomed to hold her still against the Mary's deck. "Let them go." Yet another voice called. This one came from an olive-skinned boy with short, black hair and beady eyes. His green jacket was zipped up to hide his shirt and brown pants hid his legs. The boy swung down on another rope and crashed into Usopp, the two rolling head over heels over each other until Usopp's face met the railing and the boy was thrown into the ocean. "Koby!" Isuka cried before another one of Robin's arms sprouted to cover her mouth. "Stop it!" the first voice yelled. The kid, who was standing on a beached pirate ship, beside the Mary, looked older than the others by about a year and had blonde hair that contrasted with his darker skin. His brown leopard print shirt was partially hidden by a dust-colored vest and blue pants covered his legs. In his hand he was holding a small metal ball. "Let my friends go or I swear I'll blow us all up." The boy jumped down to the Mary's deck. "Blow us up?" Usopp cried as Luffy asked, "Who are you?" "Rupanui." Henzo cried out with tears in his eyes. "Is it really you?" "Let my friends go." Nobody moved except Henzo, who slowly shuffled forward. "I swear I'll do it." "But you'd kill your friends, too." Usopp panicked. Even in death, the pumpkin pirates will stay together. Henzo did not stop his approach, even when the boy ordered him to. "Hey! Are you deaf?" I said stop. "What are you doing?" the leader questioned. "That's not a bomb," the scientist stated, reaching forward. Rupanui tried to pull away, but he was too late as the older man's finger pushed a button. There was a blinding flash, but no explosion. "The Kaboom Mark III, Henzo continued, tears falling freely. "I built it for you all those years ago." With eyes filled with anger and confusion, the blonde threw the remains of the bomb on the deck, the Kaboom Mark III exploding into a smoke screen. The sudden loss of vision broke Robin's concentration, her extra arms vanishing and releasing the girl before the crossbow was ripped from her hand. While visibility was zero, a weight slammed into Koby, forcing him to release his hold on Rongo. When the smoke cleared seconds later, there was no sign of the kids except the two halves of the Kaboom Mark III with a tiny pirate flag inside and the arrow over the still napping but slowly waking swordsman. "Ah," Zoro yawned, getting up and stretching. "That was a good nap. What's going on? Who's the old guy?" "Zoro-sensei," Koby sighed over Robin's amused giggles, "you're hopeless." "Treasure?" Nami yelled at the baby Denden on Sanji's wrist. "Bring the treasure back with you. I'll California lick by you meet." "So Luffy and the others are stuck in another dimension filled with broken ships and gold," Jin muttered. "Why am I not that surprised?" "All right, everyone," Nami ordered. "We're gonna steal a ship and go get all that treasure." "Do we have to?" Grace whined. That sounded like a lot of work. Although compared to Amy's idea of Sister time. Luffy and Zoro aren't here. That means I'm in charge. Aren't you basically in charge anyway? Chopper whispered. Nami ignored him. And I say we're raiding that other dimension for all the gold it's worth. That may just be one of the weirdest sentences I've ever heard, Amy commented, and I used to word for a guy made of sand and with a bomb man for a partner. I'd follow you to hell and back, Nami Swan. What the hell? It's better than shopping. With Sanji and Jin, we'll be perfectly safe, Chopper reasoned. I guess we're all going in, Amy sighed, her little sister nodding. All right, Nami cried. To the harbor. And that's what happened, Henzo finished. He'd been explaining how it was his friends had ended up in the rainbow mist and why he'd put up with working under the former pirate, Wedden. But that was 50 years ago, Usopp observed. Why do they still look like kids? Time isn't the same in Apes concert, Robin answered. The legends claim that its inhabitants can go for an eternity without aging or needing food. Please, Henzo begged. Please help me save my friends. Okay, Luffy smiled. What? The professor stuttered. Just like that? Well, yeah. We're here anyway. Thank you. Thank you. Now, Robin spoke up. Why don't we ask that boy over there where the others are? What boy? Koby asked. In response, Robin crossed her arms and closed her eyes. There was a muffled oaf and a large kid with brown hair in a yellow shirt under denim overalls was pushed into view. Oh. That boy. Hey, kid. Robin called. Would you be so kind as to take us to your leader? End of chapter 46. Omake, High Seas Hijinks, Dinosauric Disasters 2, takes place after the events of Alabasta. Please note, all scientific devil fruit BS is my own headcanon and does not really play any role in the overall story. The ship floated along over the waves lazily, rocking gently to and fro. It was a beautiful day. The sky was blue, the waves were also blue, and everything else was its appropriate color. Still, this was no consolation for a certain Rosette of a certain pirate crew. He and his crew's doctor were seated across from each other on the deck of their ship, talking. The rumble ball, Chopper said, his eyes locked with those of the only other Zone on the crew and said drug in his hand, is a drug that I designed myself with some help from Doctrine shortly after she took me in. The rumble ball acts as a form of temporary power growth, allowing me to use 7 different forms for 3 minutes after eating. Theoretically, it should work for any Zone devil fruit. And you want to test this on me, why? Koby questioned, glancing down at the spherical yellow drug in his hand. He was getting an uneasy feeling in his stomach and it wasn't from the rocking of the ship. You're the only other Zone, Chopper exclaimed. There's no one else to try it on. But do we have to? I think I'd be better if I just stuck to my swords. Cough wimp. Cough. Amy coughed from a dozen feet away through a dessert Sanji had brought her. Koby felt his eye twitch. Still, after weeks of being on the same crew, Amy would still not let up on him. And he didn't know why, either. Grrr, fine, Koby grumbled, raising the drug to his lips. Let's rumble. He crunched down on the ball, feeling the shattered drug slide down his throat. A ticklish sensation spread from his stomach, enveloping the rest of his body in a matter of seconds. All right, Chopper. Now what? Well, the doctor shrugged. We'll see what happens. Try to transform. Whatever you say, Chopper. Reaching down into himself, Koby let the tingling of his powers well up inside of him, altering his form. It felt the same as it usually did, but there seemed to be a higher amount around his forehead than usual. In fact, it just kept getting stronger. Chopper, Koby muttered uneasily. Something doesn't feel right. Can I stop? No. Chopper denied. It's perfectly safe, theoretically. That doesn't make me feel better, the Rosette responded. The feeling in his head still hadn't stopped and he was beginning to feel top-heavy. The sun in his eyes was starting to get shaded by his horns. Chopper, I'm stopping. But he didn't stop. He couldn't. With a groan, and despite his best efforts, gravity pulled Koby down into the deck with a thump. He was in what appeared to be his dino mode, but his body was much skinnier than normal and his horns were almost 3 times as long, making each one about half the length of the rest of his body. Fascinating, Chopper awed, circling around the fallen zone. It seems you've found your own horn point. Yeah, Koby growled, but I can't get up or change back. What, really? Chopper gasped. But, my theories, kai ha ha ha. Not to rain on your parade, Mr. Doctor, Robin spoke up, walking down from the upper deck where she had been watching. But did you take into account the species and mass differences? The mass isn't an issue. Chopper responded immediately. Every equation with the rumble ball cancels out the mass of his own. And the species is. He trailed off, his eyes widening. Of course, I'm a human reindeer, but Koby is a Triceratops human. The rumble balls were made for my DNA, which is still mostly reindeer, but Koby's, which would be 40% similar if he were still fully human, would now only have a 24% similarity to mine. Hey, hey! Koby shouted, trying to pick himself up and falling due to the size of his horns. English, please. Oh, the doctor blinked. Well, Dokorain, and I managed to calculate that when a person or animal eats his own devil fruit, then the fruit only alters about 40% of their DNA, so I'm technically only 40% human. The rumble balls were designed with my DNA in mind and the ratio of human to animal therein. Meaning? The rumble balls are designed for creatures with 60% deer DNA and 40% human, of which I am the only one. You, however, would need a drug designed for someone who is 60% human and 40% Triceratops. So what you're saying, Koby summarized with a growl, is that you just made me use a drug that would only ever work for you or any other deer that ate your fruit. Ah, yes. But, Chopper shouted, it wouldn't be too hard to make a rumble ball for you. It'd just take about 3 test tubes of your blood, a little bit of flesh from your dino mode, and about a week. Chopper's voice slowed to a stop, his eyes meeting with Koby's enraged orbs. Chopper. You have until I get free to run and hide. I suggest you take it. The reindeer didn't need to be told twice. With a scream of something akin to terror, the furred animal took off at top speed, his cry attracting the attentions of the rest of the crew. Koby? Sanji questioned, voicing the thoughts of everyone else as he stepped out of the kitchen. What happened to you? Shh. You look ridiculous. Chopper's experiment happened, the angered zone spat out over Amy's laughing and Robin's chuckles. I suggest you get a large pot ready, Sanji, because we're having venison stew tonight as soon as I get my hands on our emergency food supply. I'm sorry, Chopper's voice wailed from somewhere below deck. Pray to whatever gods you have, Chopper. Koby roared, starting to lift himself using strength made of pure anger. I'm coming for Urk. The rosette crumbled, unconscious. Zoro stood over his student, Wado in his hand from where he had used its pommel to knock the boy out. What the hell, Zoro? Nami yelled. What? The swordsman shrugged. It's not like I could have let him attack Chopper. I mean, yeah, both of them would have been fine, but... Of course, Robin agreed. It wouldn't do for Mr. Doctor to be eaten on the angered whim of our little swordsman. Else we'd all contract some horrible disease while out at sea, unable to do anything as our flesh rotted and fell off of our bones while we were still alive to feel, every moment. There was silence as a shudder passed through not only the crew, but also the ship itself. Even Koby, though he was unconscious, shivered. Robin-kun is beautiful when she's imagining our gruesome deaths, Sanji sighed. Damn, Robin, Jin cursed. Did you have to go into detail? Well, no, the woman answered. But I felt like it. With a smile that was much too warm for the scenario that had just come out of her mouth, Robin turned and began to enter the bowels of the ship. Mr. Doctor, she called as the door shut behind her. It's safe to come out. Not for another few days. Chopper's voice blubbered. Help me, Robin. So, we're not going to speak of this again, right? Nami asked slowly, to which she received nods of assent. Good. Dismissed. Chapter 25. Robin crossed her arms and closed her eyes. There was a muffled oaf and a large kid with brown hair in a yellow shirt under denim overalls was pushed into view. "Hey, kid," Robin called. "Would you be so kind as to take us to your leader?" The boy, who Henzo identified as Puke-all, was brought to the ship. At first he was quite reluctant, but as they sailed through Ape's concert, he realized that the Straw Hats weren't bad people. Eventually, the Mary made its way to rest next to a wrecked marine ship, black flags with a skull-shaped pumpkin waving in the rainbow mist's constant, unexplained breeze. "Puke-all!" Rapanui cried worriedly, seeing his friend on an enemy ship. "Let him go." "Why would we do that?" Luffy questioned innocently from his captain's seat. "We came here to find you all. After all." "Don't give me that crap." The leader of the pumpkin pirates hopped down, sword in hand, slashing at Luffy. The rubber man jumped back to stand beside Zoro before the weapon could hit him. Rapanui attacked again, but Zoro partially drew his own sword. The boy's weapon was ripped from his hand and splashed into the water, pronouncing the difference of skill between the two. "Hey, kid," Zoro muttered darkly. "Swords are dangerous if you don't know how to use them. Damn it. Leave us alone." "Wait, Rapanui," Puke-all insisted. "They aren't bad people. They're here to help get us out of the mist." "You can't trust them," Rapanui growled. "You can never trust a grown-up. If you can't trust them, then trust me." Koby stepped forward, his hands out as a sign of peace. "I'm not an adult. That means you can trust me, right? We're here to get you out of here." "Why would you do that?" Rapanui asked skeptically. "We don't know any of you. Professor Henzo asked us for help. He's been looking for ways to save you for 50 years now." "Henzo?" the blonde asked. "Wait. Did you say 50 years? What?" "According to the books I've read, time isn't the same in the Rainbow Mist," Robin offered. "A lot has changed back on Luluka, and not much of it is good." "What do you mean?" Rapanui demanded. "Why don't you call your friends down?" Robin suggested just as Usopp walked out of the kitchen with several plates of food. Sure, Sanji wouldn't be happy that the sniper had made a mess in there, but they were hungry and could just blame Luffy. It would be a hassle to explain twice. The woman continued. "Isuka," Rapanui called hesitantly. "Rongo." "Koby." The three children jumped down, eyeing the food with unhidden want. Puke-all had no doubts and rushed over to the meal, he and Luffy eating quickly. "Slow down," Usopp ordered, punching Luffy over the head. "Save some for everyone else." "Would you all like some?" Robin asked with a kind smile. "Oh boy," Rongo replied, not bothering to note that the monster from earlier was nowhere to be seen. He, Isuka, and Koby hurried over to join their friend. "Don't worry, kid," Zoro laughed, a bottle of booze in his hand. "Usopp may not be our cook, but he's not half bad." Slowly, the leader joined his friends. "You said a lot has changed back on Luluka," the young blonde prompted. "What did you mean by that?" "We heard the story about how you all ended up here," Koby began, "how you ended up stealing Wetten's ship, the Taliesin. Well, Wetten decided not to leave." "What?" "For the last 50 years, Wetten had been the tyrant mayor of Luluka's town. Robin took over, forcing the people to pay outrageous taxes. He hopes that he can take all the treasure from Ape's concert. And he used Professor Henzo to be able to do so." "What did he do to Henzo?" Rapanui demanded. "He made me work for him," the professor answered, tears streaming down his face. "He knew I'd do anything to find you five again, so he told me that if I researched the Rainbow Mist for him, he would let me save you and wouldn't kill you." "Henzo," Isuka whispered. "Is it really you?" "It's me. It's really me." One by one, the children hugged the older man until he was in the center of a group hug, glad to be reunited with their friend. "Now that we've got this settled," Zoro yawned. How are we gonna get out of here? I talked with the others while you were napping, Zoro-sensei. I have a feeling Nami is going to drag them into the mist to get the treasure. We know how much she loves money. They'll find us and we can sail out together. I thought you weren't after the treasure, Rapa Nui hissed, his eyes narrowing. Our navigator is a different story, Koby waved off. Plus, she's got Captain Luffy wrapped around her finger so tightly that she'll be the freest person in the world when he's the pirate king. What do you mean? Luffy questioned. I'm right here, so how can I be wrapped around her finger? Besides, her hands are way too small for me to wrap around. It's just an expression, Captain, Robin laughed. The point is that the rest of the crew will be here soon. You seem to have a lot of faith in your friends, Puka observed. Of course. Luffy all but yelled. We've had loads of adventures together. So are you going to come out of the mist with us? Koby asked. Rapa Nui seemed to think about it, weighing their options. Guys, he finally said. Let's get the stuff ready. We're leaving. Hurry up, you maggots. Merwedden ordered from his spot on the docks, the rainbow mist within eyesight. Get ready to launch the rainbow tower. Has anyone gotten in contact with Henzo? No, sir. The man next to the Den answered. We've searched the entire island and we can't get through. It seems he's already in the rainbow mist, and that it's messing with the Den mushy. That or he doesn't have his with him. TCH. Fine. We don't need him anyway. Launch the rainbow tower. And somebody bring me my suit. Father. Philip called, running up to Wedden. That's Mayor Wedden. The ex-pirate yelled, punching his moronic son. Sorry, Mayor Wedden, Philip amended. Where is Link? That's what I needed to talk to you about. Someone destroyed his suit and refused to pay a tax. And his arm's broken from where part of his suit crushed it. His suit's broken? Damn it. Oh well, it doesn't matter right now. We're going into the rainbow mist. Gather your men. Yes, father. That's Mayor Wedden. All right, punks, nobody move or I shoot the kid. A man demanded from the deck of the wrecked marine ship that the Pumpkin Pirates has been using as their base. He was rather tan with long brown hair under a blue and white striped headband that looked nearly identical to Jin's. He held Rongo by the neck with a gun on his head, the boy's form partially hiding the man's light blue shirt and maroon slacks. Brown boots covered his feet and just a hint of stubble on his chin showed that he'd been in the mist for nearly a week. Ian. Rapa Nui yelled angrily. What the hell are you doing? About 15 minutes had passed since he told the other kids to go pack, so something must have happened. Last Rapa Nui had seen, the former Wedden pirate had been in one of the holding cells after the kids had mutinied against him. What does it look like? Ian shot back. I'm taking control so you brats don't leave me behind. I'm not the one that's going to be staying. I don't like you, Luffy stated, causing the man to notice the new faces of Luffy and what few of his crew were with him. And who are you? Some more morons that decided to see what Ape's concert had in store? Put the kid down, Luffy ordered. Or what? You gonna punch me or something? Luffy did just that. Gum pistol. The captain's arm shot forward, scaring not only the older pirate, but the younger Pumpkin Pirates and Henzo as well. Ian wasn't scared for long, however, since he fell unconscious by the force of Luffy's fist against his face. You're weird, too? Koby questioned, his eyes narrowing on the straw hat-wearing teen. Yeah. Luffy smiled. I ate the gum fruit when I was little, so now I'm a rubber man. And what, about you too? Rapa Nui asked, turning his gaze on Zoro and Usopp. Do you two have weird powers, too? Nope, Zoro answered with a yawn. I'm just a swordsman and he's just a coward. That's right. Usopp agreed before coming to a realization. Hey! Luffy! A familiar voice called. The group's attention turned to the water where an undecorated boat just under the size of the Mary was sailing toward them. Jin and Chopper each had an oar and were struggling to move the ship since it was laden down with treasure chests and jewels of all shapes and sizes. Amy stood in the crow's nest while Grace and Nami stood on the deck amongst the treasure, the orange-haired girl waving at her captain. Sanji was hidden in the back, controlling the rudder. Robin! The cook's voice yelled. Everyone ignored him. Nami! Luffy called back happily, his stretchy arms quickly pulling the girl to the rubber man where he planted a kiss on her lips. Behind them, the pumpkin pirates gagged at the gross adult stuff and mumbled something about cooties. The other ship pulled up beside the Going Merry and the navigator soon put Zoro, Koby, Usopp, Chopper, Jin, and Sanji to work transferring all the expensive cargo from their borrowed ship to the pirate vessel. Introductions were made and Dian was tied up, Luffy going only so far as to explain that he's a bastard. I don't like him. Alright, Amy announced. We came. We saw. We collected treasure. Now how do we leave? That's actually a really good question, Jin muttered. How are we going to leave? And are we taking that guy with us? He gestured to the still unconscious Ian. Nah, Rapa Nui waved off. We'll leave him a knife. It's not like the world will miss him. I sure won't. Kai ha ha ha. That's damn cruel, kid, Jin smiled as Amy laughed. I like you already. That still doesn't answer how we're getting out of here, Usopp fretted. The entrance is still open, right? Robin thought aloud. There isn't really a roof, so Miss Valentine should be able to spot the entrance from the air and direct us out. That sounds like a good plan, Chopper agreed. But how is the blonde lady going to get up there? Rongo asked. The chocolatier smiled down at the boy as she opened her parasol and pressed the button on it. The three propellers spun and lifted her up and away, the boy gaping at her form. She rose, quickly, reaching nearly half a mile up in less than a minute. Booed up, booed up, booed up. Booed up, booed up, booed up. Hello, Nami answered, opening her baby den. Reporting, Amy declared, her voice clear as day now that they were on the same side of the rainbow mist's veil. I can see the entrance. Do a 180 and go straight. I'll follow from the air. You boys heard her. Let's get moving. The Merry exploded into activity, the men, minus Zoro, who went back to napping, running every which way to get the ship pointed the right direction. During the momentary chaos, Rapa Nui was sure to dump Ian on the abandoned vessel and stab a knife into the wood next to his face. They left him there and took off. Take the next right, Amy told them. Yes. Right there. Alright, keep going. Take a left. No. The other left. Yeah, that one. Go straight. Wait. What is that? What is it? Nami demanded into the snail. Something just came through the entrance. A long, metal tube with what looks like a pumpkin on top. Oh, it just opened. Now there are small boats coming out of it. That would be the Rainbow Tower, Henzo offered. That's good news and bad news. What's the good news? Koby questioned. As long as it stays in the entrance, it shouldn't be able to close. And the bad news? Usopp gulped. Wetten's here. He forced me to design the tower so he could use it like a conveyor belt to collect all the gold from Ape's concert. Then I hope he's ready for a fight, Luffy grinned, punching the palm of his hand. There's no way I'm letting him take this gold away from Nami, I'm gonna kick his ass. Luffy said it, Usopp nodded sagely. It's going to happen now. There's no avoiding it. Zoro-sensei, Koby muttered, shaking his teacher. Zoro-sensei. There's going to be a fight. I'm up, the swordsman yawned. Where's the fight? Chapter 26. Sir? Philip meekly began, reading the reports that the scouts had sent back to the Rainbow Tower which he and his father stood on. The conveyor belt installed next to them was running without any problem, including much weight. Only every few minutes would any piece of gold or silver pass them by over the device. We seem to have a problem. What is it? Wetten demanded from where he was seated firmly inside his flame suit. blocking his view of the belt in favor of Ape's concert itself. His flame suit looked much like his grandson's thunder suit, but ran on oil rather than electricity and had a shark-toothed grin painted on the front. "Sir, we can't seem to find near as much gold as you thought we would." "What? How much have you collected?" "Just about 500,000 beers, and we've emptied every ship in sight." "Damn it," Wedden cursed. "Well, start spreading out then." "But, Dad," the redhead protested. "If we do that, the men could get lost." "You think I care, you little shit? Do it." "But Gum Pistol." A rubbery fist smashed into the glass on the front of Wedden's flame suit, cracking it in several dozen places and rendering the window near useless. "What the hell?" the pirate mayor yelled as he stumbled backwards. Luffy dropped onto the panel, his hat shading his eyes. Rapa Nui landed next to him, pipe in hand. His vision obscured by the now white glass, Wedden tore the window out to give himself visibility once again. "Who the hell are you?" "That's the leader of the people that broke Link's arm," Philip angrily pointed out. "I'm just a pirate," Luffy muttered ominously, "but I'm at least a proper one." "What's that supposed to mean?" Wedden demanded. "And how did you get in here?" "No one enters the rainbow mist without my permission. I'm going to have to fine you a 900 million beer entry tax." "Not gonna happen, old guy," Luffy told him. "Will the good ass kicking do?" "Don't get smart with me, boy. I sailed the seas longer than you've been alive. But I'm afraid that you've just crossed the line. I'm mad, so the price for the angering me tax is your life." Fire blew from the ends of the flame suit's arms, threatening to consume both Luffy and Rapa Nui. The younger males dove to opposite sides and approached from different angles, but Wedden would have none of that. He aimed one flamethrower at each of the boys, forcing them to stop their approach and back away. Angered by this, Luffy shot his arm forward too fast for Wedden to react with his fire, so the older man blocked the punch with his suit's forearm. The metal there dented but held. Taking the advantage offered, Rapa Nui ran in from the right with an overhead strike. Wedden caught that attack as well, but with his opponent close, he was able to retaliate. The boy was flung into the water by the force of the punch the mayor threw into his gut. Unfortunately for him, Wedden had temporarily forgotten about his rubber foe. Gum whip. Luffy, stretched leg met the oil tanks on the back of the flame suit, shattering the glass and removing the fuel from the equation. Cursing, Wedden threw the machine off and declared it dead weight. "You dare think you can cross me and live?" Wedden cried out hysterically. "You'll never leave the mist alive. I'll make sure of it." The elderly pirate fished a lighter out of his pocket and bolted, throwing the lit lighter behind him. The oil on the ground exploded on contact, blasting Luffy and Philip deeper into the mist and Wedden out of it. The rainbow tower shook violently, cracks zigzagging along the structure before the entire thing fell into the water and sunk piece by piece. The explosion also affected the pocket dimension known as Ape's Concert, a ripple passing over everything, and everyone in the mysterious area. The misty sky became opaque, shapes of flying creatures unknown appearing. "Father!" Philip called out in worry as Rapa Nui surfaced with Luffy slung over his smaller frame. "Father! You forgot me." "He didn't forget," the young blonde growled. "The coward abandoned you." "No," the redhead tried to deny. "He wouldn't do that." "Well, he just did," Rapa Nui retorted. "Come on, there's a sea king in these waters and you'll get eaten if you stay there." Rapa Nui kicked his legs, swimming toward the going merry on the horizon as fast as he could while dragging Luffy with him. Philip followed, shaking in fear. As they drew closer to the pirate vessel, more and more of Wedden's collection ships were wrecked or destroyed, signs of battle present on each, one in less than 4 pieces. None of the men were dead, however. Unconscious or treading water, yes, but not dead. Seeing that it was Rapa Nui approaching, Koby dropped a rope ladder, allowing the boy carrying his captain onto the ship. Philip hesitantly followed, seeing as his only other option was to stay there and be eaten. Arriving on deck, The leader of the pumpkin pirates noticed that one person was missing. "Where's Nami?" he asked, hoping to pass the weakened pirate off to his significant other. Luffy was heavier than he looked after all. "She's downstairs," Robin answered. "I believe Mr. Swordsman said she was in a cash coma." "Oh. Well, could someone please take him? Please." "No need," Sanji muttered. A second later, all of his near-limitless energy returned to Luffy, who bounced up. "But what is that guy doing here?" "Wed ditched him when the tower blew," Rapa Nui explained as Philip squirmed under the cook's glare. "Guys," Jin called, his voice tinged with fear. "I think we've got a problem." He pointed at the beach of space-time where the image of Luluka was slowly becoming blurry. "The portal's closing," Chopper yelled unnecessarily. "Let's get out of here," Grace shouted, also unnecessarily. "What about them?" Koby asked, indicating all of Wedden's men stranded in the water. "I know they attacked us and we wrecked their ships in return, but are we going to just leave them here?" "Of course not," Luffy smiled. He walked over to the ladder. "Oi! You guys! The portal thingy is closing. Get on." It didn't seem to bother any of Wedden's men that their former enemies were saving them, as every one of them swam over, several dragging along the injured and unconscious. "How are we going to move?" Asuka questioned. "The wind isn't as strong as it used to be." Rapa Nui quickly scanned the surroundings before his eyes fell on a marine ship on the opposite side of the Mary. "I've got an idea," he said carefully. "Luffy, turn the ship toward the breach." "Ah, sure," the teen answered. "What's your plan?" "Just do it," Rapa Nui responded. Luffy turned away to get to work. While he wasn't looking, the boy dove off the side and started swimming away. "Rapa Nui!" Henzo cried out. "What are you doing? That ship should be stocked with explosives." The leader of the pumpkin pirates responded, pointing the navy vessel. "I'm going to set them off. That'll give you all the tailwind you need." But whatever Henzo was about to say died in his throat as Asuka jumped over the railing beside him. Asuka, Rongo, Koby, and Puka jumped as well, joining their friends in the water. Henzo wanted nothing more than to join them, but he knew that he wasn't physically strong enough to swim with them like he used to. "Guys, wait. Go on," Rapa Nui ordered. "It doesn't matter how long it takes, we'll return to Luluka. That's a promise." The group of 5 swam away toward the marine ship as the Mary slowly faced the portal in the other direction. Henzo yelled out once more for them to come back, to not leave him again, but his pleas went unheard in the explosion. The navy vessel was engulfed in flames. Shockwaves raced out, shaking the Foundation of Apes concert for a second time. Wind from the air pressure filled the sails and forced the Mary through the breach at speeds she was not meant to go. Water was violently forced out of the way and the air resistance cracked the mast. Coming to a slow stop, the going Mary floated in Luluka Bay with the sun shining down on her and the rainbow mist fading into nothing. "Rapa Nui," Henzo cried silently. "Everybody! Why? We're free!" Philip yelled happily, mindless of the fate of the children. "We're free! We're free!" He continued to chant until Luffy punched him, sending the man overboard. Wedden's men soon followed, whether because they jumped off themselves or were forced off by the crew was their own choice. Leaving those men to swim to shore, the Mary approached the small, glittering pile of riches on the dock. None of them noticed the marine ship that had anchored near the end of the bay. "Hey!" Luffy yelled, getting the attention of Wedden, who was happily hugging his relatively small pile of treasure. "Bastard mayor guy! I'm here to kick your ass." "What?" Wedden growled, detaching himself from the gold. "You again? How'd you get out of the mist?" "Doesn't matter," Luffy replied, he and the rest of his crew, minus Nami, jumping down to face the old man on the dock. "Because of you, those kids are still stuck in the mist. I like them." "Now hold on a second," the mayor tried, becoming aware of their overwhelming numerical advantage. "You're pirates, right? Here, have some treasure. In return, we'll forget this little fallout ever happened, deal?" Not likely, Grace muttered, the others either cracking their knuckles or prepping their weapons. Hold it right there. A soaking wet Philip commanded as he trudged onto the scene with a horde of Marines behind him. There they are, Captain. Arrest them. Of course, the lead Marine nodded. He was a tall man in his early 60s with light blonde hair that contrasted with his tanned skin. Without warning, he turned Philip away from him and cuffed the redhead. What is the meaning of this? Whetten demanded as the Marine's second-in-command, an older woman with pink hair, forcefully cuffed him as well. I am the mayor of this town. You can't do this. Actually, we can, the Marine responded. You see, we have eyewitness testimony that you are not a citizen of this town, but, actually the captain of the Whetten pirates. We also have reason to believe that this gold here was all stolen some time ago and, as it has no owner, it is now property of the world government. It's my gold. Whetten screamed, all but throwing a temper tantrum. I won't let you have it. The man and his son were forcefully dragged away. Rapa Nui? Henzo tentatively questioned from the deck of the Mary. He climbed down the ladder and shuffled up to the Marine. Is it really you, Rapa Nui? Henzo, Rapa Nui smiled, Ahsoka, Rongo, Puke all, and it could be lining up behind him. You don't look a day older than the last time I saw you. You came back, Henzo cried, wrapping his arms around the blonde and hugging him as if his life depended on it. Wait, Robin blinked. You all are the children from the Rainbow Mist? But that shouldn't be possible. Usopp pointed out. We saw that ship explode just seconds ago with our own eyes. The Rainbow Mist is a fickle thing, Rapa Nui answered, quoting from the first book he'd written about the anomaly. Robin's eyes widened as realization dawned on her. When that explosion launched you all one way, we went the other and ended up on a deserted island in the South Blue. The Marines picked us up and we decided that the best way to take down Whetten was to have the Navy on our side. Although, getting enough rank to be able to sail here freely took longer than we'd thought it would. But make no mistake, I'm still a pumpkin pirate in my heart. Man, am I glad you guys are alive, Luffy laughed. Unfortunately, I'm still a Marine, so I can't just let you pirates get away. Oh no. Usopp panicked. We saved them and this is how they repay us. How ungrateful. But wait. Rapa Nui seemed to realize, grabbing his head dramatically and raising his voice. With all this gold and the rest of Whetten's men running about, we'll have to call in reinforcements. They would take at least 2 days to arrive. The Straw Hat Pirates could be way too far away by the time they get here. Whatever shall we do? Great acting, the crew muttered sarcastically while Luffy laughed. They boarded the Going Merry once again and began sailing away, only looking back long enough to register Henzo waving goodbye and the now Marine officials saluting them. You know, Koby commented. That's the second time I've seen Marines saluting this crew. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'd say, it's better to not think about it, Sanji told him. It'll just confuse you. Yeah. I guess. Nami emerged from the treasure room the next morning. The sky was clear, the sea was calm, and everything seemed right as rain ... until it started raining broken ships, that is. Chapter 27. That was fun, wasn't it? Luffy questioned from his seat on the figurehead. The crew was spread out behind him, enjoying the nice weather. I'm not sure I would call that fun, Usopp responded. Dangerous and terrifying come to mind, though. I certainly don't want to live there, Koby added, but would be nice to go back and say hello sometime. Feeling something land on him, the boy looked up to check the sky, but he saw nothing save for what seemed to be a dark cloud. Apparently, Grace felt it, too. Rain? The artist asked. In response, the girl's sister opened her parasol. No, Nami frowned. It's wood? She looked up and noticed that the cloud Koby had seen was not a cloud at all. Holy shit. Turn the ship. Turn the ship now. There's a ship falling from the sky. Reacting to their navigator's sudden demand, the crew scurried about to do as she ordered. "This is just a dream," Usopp whispered to himself from where he had curled up against the mast. "Just a dream. If I count to 3 and open my eyes, I'll wake up. 1, 2, 3. But he didn't wake up. Instead, the sniper found a skeleton falling toward him. With a scream, the teen scrambled away as the remained skull shattered on the deck. The Going Merry only had a minute, just barely enough time for the little caravel to get out from under the looming shadow of the galleon above her. The massive, ancient ship, colored a faded red and with a tiki mask-like figurehead, crashed into the sea off the starboard bow, kicking up giant waves that threatened to capsize the ship of the Straw Hat Pirates. "Wow!" Luffy marveled as the ocean settled. "Come on, Usopp. Let's go exploring." "No." The terrified sniper tried to protest. The captain would have none of it, however, and grabbed him before jumping to the sinking ship. Robin, meanwhile, knelt down to the deck. "What are you doing?" Koby asked, glancing over the woman's shoulder. "I'm reconstructing the skull, of course," Robin responded, placing the last piece of bone in said skull, save for a small, uniform hole in the back of the cranium. "That was fast." Amy blinked. "Who cares about some old bones?" Zoro yawned. "You can learn a lot from old bones," the woman argued. "For instance, I'd say this person died about 200 years ago." "How can you tell?" Nami asked. "This hole, here, is from a process known as craterization. The practice died out about that time. Am I correct, Doctor?" "Yeah," Chopper nodded from where he was hiding behind the mast. Craterization was a procedure where part of the skull was removed to take out tumors in the brain. It stopped being practiced because the holes left behind were more susceptible to infection. Guys," Koby muttered. "We may have a problem." "What now?" Nami demanded. The boy only pointed toward where the ship should have been, only for Bubbles and 2 flailing pirates to be there. With a sigh, Sanji removed his jacket and jumped in. After returning, the chef dropped the sniper and the devil fruit user on the deck, the captain with something clutched in his hand. Several seconds later, said captain jumped up and began talking about how cool the stuff on the ship was ... and there was this thing with a handle. I don't know what it was, but I want it. And I found this. With a flourish, Luffy revealed that the thing in his hand was a map. It was old and yellowed, but the pirates could still make out the picture of the almost skull-like island and the name Skypia written in fancy writing in the bottom right-hand corner. "Miss Navigator," Robin commented, "reminded of something I seen the map. When did you last check the log pose?" "I haven't checked it since I woke up this morning." Nami screamed after glancing at the pose. "The log pose is broken." "What?" the rest of the crew cried. "It's pointing straight up." "It's not broken," Robin waved off. "It has just registered Sky Island." "That sounds fun," Luffy yelled. "Let's go there." "Impossible," Nami denied. "This may be the Grand Line, but there's no way there are islands in the sky." "There must be," Robin countered. "When on the sea, the only thing you can trust in is the log pose. Even if it does exist," Nami argued, "how are we supposed to get there?" "I don't know," Robin conceded. "Maybe we can learn something from that ship." "Yeah," Luffy agreed. "Salvage that ship." "This is Zoro," the swordsman's voice said from the tubes. "This is Sanji, checking in." "This is Luffy. There are a lot of monsters down here." The monster trio had descended into the water with the use of some barrel suits Luffy had Usopp rig up, Luffy's covering his whole body to protect him from the sea. Each of them were connected to the ship by a breathing tube which doubled as a communication method. The 3 continued to descend, nearing the sunken ship. "Salvage!" Several off-key voices sang, accompanied by drums and cymbals. "Salvage the sea!" A boat appeared on the horizon, the lower deck a literal jungle. Standing on the bow, over the decorative full-body monkey figurehead with symbols, was a man that looked like a monkey. He was dressed in burnt orange overalls with Mazira written in a yellow box on his chest. Halt! He ordered, the ship slowing immediately after. Is this where that ship sank? Yes, sir. The men answered. Then get the first dive team down there right away. The monkey man turned, finally noticing the much smaller ship bobbing in the water. Who are you? Are you trying to steal my salvage? You us? Nami stuttered. We're nobodies. And we aren't trying to steal anything. That ship that fell almost crushed us. We were curious is all. So you're not here to salvage that ship? No, sir. The woman lied. But who are you? You don't know who I am? Monkey Man gasped. I'm Azira, the Salvage King. Every ship that goes down in this area belongs to me. Hey, Nami. Luffy's voice called through the speakers. We've got everything and are ready to come up. The navigator quickly muffled it, hoping that the other captain hadn't heard. Now that I think about it, why are you guys still here? Mezuro questioned. We just want to see how the professionals salvage a ship. The orange-haired girl kept her hand over the speaker as she sent a glance at the rest of the crew. Koby and Robin picked up on her silent plea and took it upon themselves to distract Mazira by getting him to boast of his own accomplishments. Luffy, she whispered, into the horn, hoping he could hear her. You gotta be quiet. We've got company up here. Oh, the rubber man whispered back. Are those the guys we just beat up? Sir. One of Mazira's men reported. The men we sent down have returned heavily wounded and unconscious. What happened to them? Mazira demanded, his attention being torn away from the Going Merry and her crew. We aren't sure, the crewman answered. But we did find evidence of a nest of sea snakes below us. Damn. Get the cleaning team down there and wipe them out. Yes, sir. A few minutes later, a group of men jumped into the water from the salvaging ship, this time armed with weapons for hunting. Hey, Nami, Luffy whispered through the speaker. We found a little bit more. We're coming back up. Not so fast, she warned. There are some guys clearing out those snakes you mentioned earlier. Ugh. Fine. Several more minutes passed, those above the water making idle chit-chat to pass the time. Finally, the squad Mazira had sent down returned, carrying the bodies of a multitude of giant sea snakes. Usopp gave the monster trio the go-ahead to surface and they returned while the other crew was hoisting their catch into their boat. They'd each come up with a large bag, but there was nothing of value in any of it. The only interesting things were a broken wooden thing with a handle and some empty chests for organizing the treasure in their hold. The ape-man didn't even notice their return, he was too focused on trying to show off. Mazira's salvage went off without a hitch, minus the fact that a giant turtle ate the ship as they were hoisting it to the surface. There was nothing worth salvaging in it, but Mazira didn't know that. Either way, he and Luffy became fast friends and he invited the Straw Hats to follow him to the next island, Jaya. But, just as it seemed things were looking up, all the light in the surrounding area vanished. Clouds covered the sky, leaving nothing but a dark afterthought of what the day had been. The turtle, with the ship in its small beat a hasty retreat. The crews of the two ships could only stare in horror as silhouettes fading into view from the edges of their vision. Everyone screamed. There, on the bleak horizon, were what seemed to be 5 gigantic humanoids with small wings, each wielding a spear. As they watched, the figure in the middle raised its weapon, preparing to stab them. Every man grabbed an oar and paddled as if their lives depended on it, rocketing the Merry toward the only bit of light in the distance. Jaya was an island of pirates. Much like Hannibal, where the dead-end pirate race was held every few years, Mocktown was almost completely inhabited by pirates. Finding the island had been relatively easy since Robin had used her powers to steal an eternal pose to Jaya from Maziri's ship in case the King of Salvage noticed that they had looted the ship before him and attacked. Leaving the ship were Luffy, Nami, Jin, Koby, and Amy. Everyone else, minus Zoro and Robin, were staying behind while the archaeologist was going out to learn the history of the island and the swordsman had been ordered to be her bodyguard. The group of 5 wandered through the town, careful as to not cause trouble lest Nami tear them a new one. She'd even gone so far as to make Luffy and the others promise not to fight anyone. Eventually, they made their way to a hotel that looked like it belonged in a capital city rather than the pirate-infested mock town. "This place is really fancy," Koby awed. "I wouldn't mind staying here for a couple of days," Jin agreed. Around a corner came a very shaky man who wobbled over to them. I'm sorry," the man stuttered through his shaking, "but I'm going to have to ask why you two leave." "Why?" Nami demanded. This entire hotel was rented by Bellamy the High Hyena for himself and his sea crew. If so you here, he'd separate my head from my body. So please leave. For my sake. Well, that explained the shaking. "What is going on here?" a new voice asked. The pirates and proprietor turned to the entrance to see a silver-haired man with a purple visor stroll in with his arm around the dirty blonde. The newcomer wore a pair of dark pants and a fur-lined coat which he left open to show off his muscular torso and a tattoo thereupon, a smiley face with a diagonal slash. Mr. Sarkis, sir," the hotel owner sputtered. He told them to get out, but they wouldn't listen. "Here," the man smiled, tossing a handful of beers to the ground in front of Luffy. "Leave and get yourself something better than those rags you're wearing. I can't stand the sight of them." "Oh, dear," the woman on his arm sighed. "You're wasting your money on rabble like this." "They're rabble, they need all the charity they can get," Sarkis responded, him and the woman laughing at his words. "No worries," Jin stated, only his crewmates hearing the anger in his tone. This man reminded him of Krieg in the way he spoke. "We were just leaving." Bahahaha. They heard the man, Sarkis, laugh as they left. "What a bunch of weaklings. What an ass," Koby muttered, the other silently agreeing. Annoyed, the band of pirates stepped back into Mock Town. Chapter 28. Bars were a good place to get information. Plus, they could be found in every village with any form of economy. Thus, Luffy, Nami, Koby, Jin, and Amy found themselves inside of one of the many situated in Mock Town. The bar was an average place with no name, only a crudely painted sign, reading bar, and pies hanging over the door. Nevertheless, the place was nearly full, pirates of all shapes and sizes laughing together at each table. "This whole trip has been pointless," Nami complained, an empty glass sitting on front of her. Luffy sat to her right, his second mug of whatever he was drinking empty as well. The other three were stretched out on the navigator's left, their own various drinks sitting before them. "This town is filled with nothing but arrogant or stupid pirates." "I'm sorry about that," the bartender apologized, replacing her empty drink with another. "This town's only real economy is from pirates, so level-headed people like yourself are hard to come by. Here. This one's on the house." The man shuffled away, only stopping to place a cherry pie in front of Luffy and another in front of the large man to the teen's right. He then moved backwards to start cleaning dishes. The man next to Luffy was the personification of the pirate stereotype, the only thing missing being a parrot on his shoulder. The man was missing several teeth and those that he had were gray. Black, curly hair tumbled to his shoulders from his captain's hat and his brown eyes showed that he loved life. His dirty clothes consisted of a torn white shirt that showed his hairy chest and stretched at his gut, black pants held up with a belt, and black boots sized to his extra-large feet. "Hey, bartender!" Both Luffy and the large man yelled, the younger with a disgusted look on his face. "This pie is the worst, best pie I've ever had." The two stared at each other, lighting, all but clashing from their glares before Nami yanked on Luffy's ear and the man behind the counter sighed. "I don't work in the kitchen, so I really don't care what you think of the food. Now break it up. The most important rule in here is no fighting." Luffy grumbled as the man ordered a whopping 50 pies, paid, and left. As he made his exit, another man strode in with his crew behind him. He was a tall man with a deep tan and medium-length blonde hair. Cream-colored pants and dark shoes covered his lower body while his upper had a pink shirt and a blue captain's coat draped over his shoulders. His black eyes scanned the bar as he spoke, getting the attention of everyone there. "I'm looking for a pirate who wears a straw hat." Whispers broke out, eyes shifting from the man at the door and Luffy at the counter. "That's Bellamy the hyena. He's got a 55 million berry bounty. They say he's faster than any other man alive. He's the man who killed Roshio the executioner earlier." Bellamy cared not for the whispers as he stepped forward, the rest of his crew entering behind him and forcing several pirates to abandon their seats. Their leader, however, made his way to the recently vacated seat next to Luffy and sat down, eyeing the teen. "So you're the kid with a 30 million bounty," he stated. "Nope," Luffy denied. "I've got a 100 million berry bounty." A laugh tore from the throats of Bellamy and his crew, the other patrons of the bar soon following in their example. "That's a good one, kid," the man chuckled. "Bartender, get me a bottle from the top shelf and one of whatever this guy wants." "No thanks," Luffy declined, "but if you could tell me anything you know about how to get to Sky Island, that'd be great." Bellamy twisted around in his seat and grabbed the back of Luffy's head before slamming his face into the counter, smashing the wood into kindling. "Luffy!" Nami yelled, kneeling beside the rubber captain. Her cry was lost in the laughter of Bellamy's men. "What do you think you're doing?" Bellamy questioned, eyeing the sword at his throat and the tonfa at his head. "I was about to ask you the same thing," Jin responded, him and Koby having their respective weapons pointed at the man who dared to attack their captain. "Listen up," Bellamy stated, bringing up his arm and batting away the straw hat weapons with a clang of metal on metal. "If your captain had passed my test, I'd have let you all join my crew, but I don't have room for daydreaming fools like you guys. Hundreds of people set out to sea, dreaming of cities of gold, or islands in the sky, or the great One Piece." He spread his arms, raising his voice. "There's a new era coming. One where those stupid dreamers are no more. The city of gold is gone. There are no islands in the sky. And the fabled One Piece is fake. The sooner you accept that, the better your life will be." "Then how do you explain ships falling out of the sky?" Amy demanded. "We were almost crushed by one on the way here." "Explain it." "I guess you don't know about the knock-up stream, do you?" Bellamy answered with a sneer. "A natural occurrence that blasts anything caught in it impossibly high. Years ago, sailors saw boats falling from the sky and made up fantasies about an island in the clouds. They didn't know about the knock-up stream, but we do. What do you think of that?" The blonde threw the rest of his drink down, the glass shattering next to Luffy's head and the remaining liquid covering his face. This spurred the rest of the bar to throw their own drinks at the fallen teen. "I take back what I said about being passive," Nami told her captain. "Fight them. Guys," Luffy muttered, picking up his hat and dropping it on Nami's head. "Whatever they do, don't fight back. The bar's rules say no fighting. And we promised we wouldn't." But Jin was about to protest before stopping himself. He lowered his donfa. "Yes, Don." Koby was slower, but he, too, relaxed his weapons, and put them away. Apparently, the other patrons didn't see their determination for what it was. While they stayed away from Nami and Amy, Luffy, Jin, and Koby were all fair game. They were all but passed around as the pirates used them as their personal punching bags. By the end of the one-sided fight, all three men were covered in scratches of all shapes and sizes, and Koby and Jin were sporting very prominent bruises across their faces and arms. Their clothes were torn, but, luckily, all of their pants were intact. It seemed outside of life or death situations, even when no one cared about decency, pirates still avoided the lowest of blows. Luffy was covered in his own blood by the time he fought back. The captain was in a worse state than either of his companions. Crimson liquid dripped from cuts along his arms, legs, and head from where Bellamy had smashed him into a window, shattering the glass. Nami ran to him as he laid on the floor. "Luffy." Nami dropped beside him, checking for any permanent injuries. Laughter continued to ring throughout the bar. "Hey, girl," Sarkis called, his eyes locking with Nami's anger-filled orbs. "You seem like a pretty sensible chick. Why don't you let me buy you? Come with us. You'll just get left behind if you stick around with these clowns." "What did you say?" Luffy questioned from the floor, only tilting his head enough to see the man. "I wasn't talking to you," Sarkis snapped. "I was talking to the babe." Luffy stood and placed himself before Nami. "Hey, bartender," the rubber man said emotionlessly, cracking his knuckles. "Sorry about this." Luffy reared his arm back, causing Bellamy and his crew to laugh. What did this kid think he was doing, punching the air? They were in for a shock when Luffy's arm didn't stop at an arm's length. Luffy's fist met Sarkis' face with the sound of a breaking nose. He slumped backwards over the counter, barely conscious. Even if Sarkis didn't, the rest of Bellamy's crew heard the words that came out of Luffy's mouth next. "You can insult my dreams. You can beat me and call me stupid. You can knock me down and spit on me. But no one, and I mean no one, talks to Nami like that in front of me and gets away with it." Punches rained down on Sarkis, leaving him as a black and blue mess. "You bastard!" Bellamy growled, his legs morphing into springs. "Spring. I wouldn't do that as I were you," Koby warned, suddenly behind the blonde pirate captain, his Sabaku no Kiba blades crossed in front of the spring man's neck. "My teacher taught me to always keep my sword sharp. If you jump, I can promise you that your neck would give out first. You no-name brat." Bellamy spat. "Let him go, Koby," Luffy ordered. "We're leaving." The team turned toward the door, throwing some money over his shoulder to the bartender to help pay for the damages. Koby waited until Jin was next to Luffy before he released their opponent. Bellamy jumped as soon as he was free, kicking both legs into Koby's solar plexus and rocketing toward Luffy, Nami, and Jin while throwing the rosette into and through the bar. The man demon spun, one ton from meeting the hyena's face mid-flight, redirecting him into an uncontrolled spiral that crashed into a side wall. "Tch," Jin grunted. "Bastard." He tucked his tonfa away and walked back across the bar, offering the dazed Zone a hand out of the wreckage of the bar. Koby, now dripping with spirits, accepted the hand and rubbed his sore back. Favoring his right leg, Koby limped to the doorway with Jin following. "Hey, Jin?" Koby asked. Why didn't the rest of his crew intervene? "Because of me," Amy answered, her yellow umbrella now having some small spots of red. It wasn't too hard. They were too busy watching their captain have his ass handed to them to notice me until it was too late. Kai ha ha ha. As one, the group of 5 exited the silent bar. Outside, they found the black-haired man who had ordered the pies, eating them in the street and laughing. "Do you have something to add?" Jin growled. Zay ha ha ha. "Yeah, I do. You all, I heard everything that happened in there. You'd have won that fight without throwing a punch. A new era is coming? Bullshit." He raised his hands. "The age when pirates dream will never die." Zay ha 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 ha. The pirates walked away, their spirits slightly lifted and the man's jolly laughter in their ears. "It's a perfect day for a bottle of rum." Zay ha ha ha. "What the hell happened to you guys?" Those were the first words out of Usopp's mouth upon seeing the state of the 3 men approaching the Mary. Koby was still limping and Jin's clothes would need a lot of cleaning. Luffy decided he didn't want to fight when some loud-mouthed asshole bad-mouthed his dream, and these two waited until Luffy finally fought back. Nami answered. She was still slightly miffed at the fact that Luffy hadn't retaliated until Sarkis made a pass at her. Thinking about that made her cheeks light up. Luffy was willing to go to blows for her when he held back while Bellamy spat on his dreams. What did that say about her boyfriend? "And Luffy, you should have let me handle that asshole back there." "Sorry?" Luffy shrugged. "Did you expect me not to say Anything? What's going on? Chopper questioned, walking over to the railing to join the conversation. What the hell? What happened to you guys? The little reindeer ran back to grab his medical bag before jumping to the dock to treat the men. Koby ended up going first as Jin insisted that he was fine and climbed onto the Mary while Luffy insisted that, as captain, he should go last. Chopper was in the finishing stages of patching up his captain when Zoro and Robin returned, the annoyed swordsman loaded down by multiple shopping bags. Apparently, Robin had convinced him that it was some sort of strength training and that it was the reason Nami could hit so hard. Robin climbed aboard the ship first before using her powers to relieve Zoro of the bags one at a time. As that was happening, the archaeologist moved over to Nami and handed her a rolled-up paper with a smile. The navigator opened the paper to show that it was a map of Jaya, showing that the island looked like the mouth of a skull that was connected on the right side. Near the top of the map, on the opposite side of the island from Mock Town, was a Redex. "Hey, Robin," Luffy greeted as Chopper placed a band-aid under his left eye, opposite his scar. "How was your day?" "Quite enlightening," the woman answered. "I spent the day looking for information on Sky Island, but I didn't find much. I did, however, hear tell of a man who may know how to get us there. His name is Montblanc Cricket, and he lives on the other side of the island. Apparently, he was banned from the town because he talked about his dreams too much. Sounds like we know our next destination," Luffy smiled. Everyone set sail. Let's go find this Cricket guy. Chapter 29. Montblanc Cricket was a tall man with a very muscular form. Blonde sideburns poked out on either side of his head and the rest of his hair was fashioned into the shape of a chestnut. His muscular torso was bare to the world and long maroon pants were held around his waist by a red belt. Currently, he was unconscious, Chopper treating him for a medical condition. When the Straw Hat Pirates had arrived to his home, they'd thought that he lived in a castle, but it turned out to be a painted cardboard cutout fastened to half a house on the very edge of the island. Cricket was nowhere to be found, but Amy discovered an old children's picture book, sitting on a stump near the man's home. Its title read Nolan the Liar. Nami sat down on the stump with Luffy at her side and read the book aloud to whoever wanted to listen. The story told of a man from the North Blue by the name of Montblanc Nolan who explored the world before returning to tell his home kingdom of his many adventures. One day, after returning from another trip, Nolan went to the king and told him of a city of gold that he'd found and the king set out to retrieve it. But when Nolan, the king, and the 100 soldiers that survived reached the island, they found nothing. Angered by this, the king sentenced Nolan to death. The final page, which had a painted picture of Nolan with a dopey grin on his face, said and Nolan's final words were "I can only assume that the city of gold sank into the sea." Thus, Nolan's death sentence was carried out and he died in shame and ridicule. Well, that was depressing, Koby finally got out. "I knew I'd heard that story somewhere," Sanji said. "I heard it all the time when I was a kid. I was born in the North Blue, after all." "Really?" Chopper asked. "Well, yeah. Didn't I mention that at some point?" "No, you didn't," Usopp answered. "I always assumed you were born in the East." "Nope. I was just raised there." "What are you people doing in my yard?" an angry voice questioned. The group turned to see the man known as Cricket, dripping with seawater and holding a gun. Robin stepped forward. "Are you Montblanc Cricket?" she asked. "So what if I am?" "Hey!" Luffy yelled, running toward the man who shot at him. The bullets did nothing, stretching his skin before being redirected outward. "What are you?" Cricket demanded, dropping his gun after realizing that it wouldn't help him. Luffy stopped just short of Cricket's range. "Can you tell us how to get to Sky Island?" What? The look of surprise on Cricket's face was enough to tell the pirates that the man had been expecting something completely different. "I said, Luffy stretched out. "Can you tell us how to get to Sky Island?" Cricket was quiet for several moments, wondering if he had heard wrong twice in a row. Finally, he laughed, a rich, hearty sound escaping his mouth for a while. Unfortunately, his laughter ended in a coughing fit that left the muscular man on the ground and the pirates in a state of panic. Cricket was moved into his house and Chopper set to work. It turned out that the man had what was commonly known to divers as the bends, a condition caused by rising from deep water too fast. The sudden change in pressure and heat causes the nitrogen bubbles in the blood to expand, cutting off blood flow to the point where severe cases could be fatal. This is true. Luckily, Cricket had one of the best pirate doctors to help him. Before Cricket could wake up, however, the door to his home was all but broken down by the entrance of two brothers. One, the younger, was Mazira while the other was his older brother, Shah Uju. Shah Uju was a man who just outclassed Mazira in height and far outclassed him in weight. He had hair the same shade as Zoro's, but where the swordsman kept his cut, the orangutan-like human had never cut his own, leaving it to brush against the floor. A green captain's hat sat on his head and he wore a red captain's coat, the sleeves being used for once in the universe. "What are you doing to the old man?" they demanded in unison. "Ah! Monsters!" Usopp and Chopper screamed. "He's got a mystery disease," Luffy answered. "We're helping. Now go bug someone else. Don't antagonize them, Luffy." Usopp fretted. "Thank you, guys," the brothers cried, surprising the pirates. As it turned out, Mazira, Shah Uju, and Cricket were in what the brothers called the Saruyama Alliance of Jaya. They and Luffy talked to each other for a long time, waiting for Montblanc Cricket to wake up. Finally, after what felt like forever to the young pirate captain, Koby was sent out by Chopper to tell the trio that the man was awake. Luffy and the monkey-like brothers rushed into the half-house where they found Cricket sitting up in his bed. "Hey, chestnut guy," Luffy smiled. "You're not dead." "That I'm not," Cricket affirmed. "And it's all thanks to your doctor, here." "You saying that doesn't make me happy, you jerk," Chopper sang. "So, chestnut guy," Luffy continued, "what do you know about getting to Sky Island?" "You're trying to get to Sky Island?" Shah Uju questioned. No one answered, all eyes were on Cricket as he thought. "There's only one man who I believe could have gone to Sky Island," he finally answered, "but most people believe him to be nothing but a liar." Luffy's jaw dropped as he turned to stare at Usopp. "What are you looking at?" the sniper demanded. "I think he meant Montblanc Noland," Captain Luffy, Koby, suggested. "Now that I think about it," Nami wondered aloud, "both Noland and you have the same family name. Are you two related?" "We are," Cricket answered with a voice full of contempt. "He was my grandfather's grandfather's grandfather. But we're so far related that I doubt I have even a drop of his blood in my veins." It must be cool to be related to such a famous figure, Usopp thought, aloud before Cricket shot at him. The bullet punched a hole in the cardboard over the frozen sniper's head. Cricket gave no heed to the gun pointed at him from Jin's steady hand in response. "You don't know what it was like, growing up with the Montblanc name," Cricket growled, dropping his gun. "The Montblanc family was banished from the North Blue with laughter and scorn, and we've tried to fly under the radar ever since. Dozens of my relatives have set out to prove Nolan correct, but all of them vanished." "Is that what you're doing?" Amy questioned. "Are you trying to prove your ancestor wasn't a liar?" "Not at all," Cricket denied. "The actions of my ancestor have nothing to do with me. Years ago I wanted nothing to do with the Montblanc name or the scorn that came with it. I set out, on my own adventure to escape Nolan's shadow. I even assembled my own pirate crew. And then, one day, we came across Jaya. It was purely by accident, but for some reason, it felt like fate." "Hold on," Nami ordered. "Are you saying that Jaya and the island from the story are one and the same?" "Yes. My crew. They left me behind. Fate had placed me on this island and I could not resist. I stayed for reasons that are purely my own." "Are you done yet?" Luffy asked. balling his fist into the hem of his shirt to resist picking his nose. It was a bad habit, or so he'd been told. "I really don't care about your life story. I just want to know if you can help us get to Sky Island." "Here," Cricket answered, handing an old book to Nami. It was Nolan's logbook, the thing well over 200 years old. Why Cricket had it if he claimed to not wish to be connected with his ancestor was a mystery, but rather than question it, Nami opened to the page Cricket told her to and read. The book told of a meeting with some merchants who claimed to have gone to the Sky Island and the description of a wooden contraption that generated its own wind. The words all but confirmed the existence of Sky Island. "But wait," Usopp said. "None of that explains the monkey men here who are helping you." "Oh, them?" Cricket blinked. "They're just fans of the story is all." "What?" The Straw Hats spent the rest of the day listening to Cricket as he told them everything he knew about the knock-up stream. Apparently, it was a natural occurrence that happens when, theoretically, steam is built up in underwater air pockets until the pressure causes an explosion powerful enough to connect the sea and the sky for a whole minute. And, coincidentally, the knock-up stream and the cloud Sky Island was said to dwell on, the cumulus cloud, were going to line up the next day at noon. That night, the Straw Hats and the Saruyama Alliance partied. Booze was passed around, nearly everyone getting at least a little tipsy. Nami ended up dragging Luffy into a corner and started making out with him in front of everyone, causing Sanji to wail at how unfair life was. Grace, as it turned out, was a lightweight, the one big mug she downed behind her sister's back being enough to send her into a fit of giggles. She spent most of the night falling on Koby, trying to get his attention, while the pink-haired pirate didn't seem to understand why he was the only one that ended up on the floor with a giggling Grace on top. Amy noticed none of this. She was a flirty drunk and enjoyed leading the single men on, flirting with each until crushing any hopes they may have had. Sanji was her favorite target, but Jin seemed to take it as a challenge and started trying to out-flirt her, dodging Sanji's kicks the whole time. Finally, Cricket decided to show off the gold he and the Monkey Brothers had found while on a dive several months ago, 3 small golden bells and a golden bird. The bird, he explained, was called a southbird and that, no matter what, their beaks always pointed south. Then he came to the realization that the Straw Hats would need a southbird to direct them to where the knock-up stream would be, as the log pose couldn't help. Grace, Amy, Nami, and Usopp chose to stay behind while everyone else went into the forest at midnight only to be harassed by the bird they were looking for. Meanwhile Cricket, Mazira, Shauju, the sisters, and Usopp got to work patching up the Going Merry and getting her ready for flight, and Nami began her weather calculations, breaking down how the knock-up stream worked like she had for Reverse Mountain. The group in the woods splintered into 3, them only having 3 nets. Zoro and Koby followed Robin, Sanji and Jin backtracked, and Luffy and Chopper forged ahead. Unfortunately for them, the Southbirds were determined to protect the forest from the human race and attacked them with nature, most of the attacks being aimed at the captain and the doctor. On the shore, just as the people there were preparing to get to work, a new ship sailed around the coast and pulled up by the house. Bellamy and his crew jumped down, greedy smirks plastered on their faces. Their spirits had rebounded from the bar fight earlier in the day and they were ready to plunder once more. "I am Bellamy the hyena," the captain declared with a small bandage on his cheek, throwing his coat away. "You're Mont Black Cricket, correct? What's it you?" Cricket questioned. He, Mazira, and Shauju were the only ones outside. Usopp had gone into the house where Nami was to look for some tools he didn't have, and the sisters were on the merry. "I heard that you found some gold. I'm here to take it." He turned to scan the surroundings, glancing at Cricket's home and the Straw Hats ship. "And while we're at it, I think we'll take everything of value on that ship, too." Without any more ado, Bellamy's subordinates attacked, a dozen or so heading toward the Going Merry. The Saruyama Alliance held them off well enough, but it went downhill for them when the hyena got involved. He used his spring fruit powers to jump around, knocking out both of the monkey brothers, the older being sent through Cricket's house and into the sea. What the hell was that? Usopp gasped as Shauja crashed through the house, just missing him before smashing through the fake side and into the sea. Usopp, Amy hissed, appearing in the hole Shauja had left via her devil fruit powers. Nami. We've got a problem. What is it? Nami questioned. That asshole from the bar is back. Some of his men tried to raid the Mary, but grace was more than enough for them. Anyway, I need your help. It's time to teach the spring-headed dickweasel that you don't mess with the Straw Hat Pirates. By the time Bellamy's treasurer entered Cricket's house to steal his gold, the only sign of Usopp and Nami having been there was their shoes hidden in the corner. Amy's plan was stupid and risky, but that just about summed up every plan of Luffy's crew. Rising just a little further into the air and glad that her targets didn't think to look up, Amy took a deep breath and closed her parasol. She increased her mass. The only warning the Bellamy pirates had to the attack on their ship was the sound of Amy impacting with more force than any ship was made to bear. Her 10,000 kilogram body ripped a large hole through every layer of the ship and busted the keel on the bottom in two. She sunk into the water underneath the ship, only conscious enough to see that Nami and Usopp had come to her rescue like she'd asked them to. From his place on the ground, Cricket smiled. And from the trees came the rest of the young pirate crew. Earlier, Koby had gotten separated from Zoro in a hostile forest. Again, although this time it was of no fault to either of them, the Southbirds were directing the creatures of the forest in a deadly melody of attacks. The one that had separated Koby from Zoro and Robin was a crumbling cliff caused by what appeared to be giant worms with mouths. The dirt had shifted under the younger swordsman, taking him into the heavy foliage at an angle too steep to climb up or slide down in a controlled manner. "Hey, Shrimp!" he heard his teacher call. "You okay?" "I'm fine, Zoro-sensei," Koby responded. "Don't worry about me. I'll look around down here. If you say so." Koby turned away from the incline and peered into the forest, his ears straining for the unique call of the Southbird. There was nothing. The area was eerily silent. "Hello?" Koby called. "Are there any Southbirds out there? I just want to talk to you." Now, to most people, the idea of talking to wild animals was preposterous, but then again, so was being, roughly, half triceratops and trusting your health to a reindeer while sailing under the command of a man made of rubber. Maybe, just maybe, the Southbirds were smart enough to understand English, even if they couldn't speak it. Jai-oo. Koby jerked, his body spinning around and his hands coming up to rest on the hilts of his swords. The Southbird behind him jolted as well, jumping up in a cloud of feathers to sit on a branch outside of the range of the boy's weapon. The bird's plumage was mostly a light violet, its underside covered in overlapping green feathers. Its head, which had two yellow projections coming up, a fishtail-like back, and an overly large, mostly yellow beak, was cocked at an angle pointing off past Koby's right, leading the zone to believe he was facing northeast at that moment. "I'm sorry," Koby apologized respectively as his hands dropped. "You startled me. And most things that startle me try to kill me. Jai-oo. Can you understand me? Jai-oo." "I'll take that as a yes," Koby commented. "Listen. I don't know why you and your friends are attacking us, but we don't mean you any harm. We, as in my crew, are getting ready to try to sail to an island in the sky. But the only way there is directly south of here and we'll get lost if we don't have any way of finding our direction. Does that make sense? Jai-oo. Is that a yes or a no? Jai-oo. This time, the bird nodded. "It would be really helpful if one of you could help us at least get there," Koby continued. "You don't have to come with us all the way up, if you don't want to. What I can promise you, though, is whichever one of you does come with us, I can have our cook make whatever snacks they want until they leave." Koby finished his sales pitch, hoping the food bribe would get at least one of the birds to join them. The Southbird he was talking to didn't even confer with the rest of its kind before making a decision. The ever southward-facing animal flew down to the boy and came to rest on his shoulder. Then, it let out one loud, long call. Koby hoped that was an order to stop attacking his crewmates. Lifting his wrist, Koby opened the shell there, awakening his baby Den. "Hello?" The other groups and Grace answered in a garbled myriad of the same word. "I've got one, guys," Koby told the snail. "Let's meet back at Cricket's house. We're going to Sky Island," Luffy sang before everyone hung up. Carefully, so as not to anger the bird on his shoulder, Koby climbed a tree in need of a visual of his destination. Spotting the right direction, Koby took off. Chapter 30. What's going on here? Jin demanded, the same question burning in the minds of Luffy, Zoro, Koby, Sanji, Chopper, and Robin. They had all exited the forest at about the same time. The Southbird perched on Koby's shoulder. Oddly enough, Luffy had shed his shirt and was holding a Hercules beetle within it. Before them was the shocked group of the Bellamy pirates, said group split between staring at their sinking ship or staring at the pirates that had just exited the forest. "Would you look at that," Bellamy stated, ignoring the waves from their sinking ship lapping at the shore in favor of locking eyes with the other captain. "It seems weaklings do band together. We were strong enough to beat you," Jin grumbled. "Did you do this?" Luffy growled, gesturing at the downed forms of Cricket and the Monkey Brothers. Off to the right, Nami and Usopp surfaced with Amy draped between them. "So what if I did?" Bellamy snarked. "Then I'd have to kick your ass." "We'll see about that." Spring. Sniper. Bellamy's legs changed into springs which wound up before launching him toward the Straw Hats. Everyone had dropped into a fighting stance, but the action turned out to be unnecessary. With a single call, the Southbird summoned a swarm of giant praying mantis that flew in over the pirates' heads. They swiped at Bellamy, who was unable to dodge in midair, cutting at his clothes and his skin. Luffy then stepped out of the way, leaving the other captain to crash through two trees before colliding with a third. "Captain!" Sarkis yelled. He rushed forward, intent on reaching his friend, but Zoro blocked his path. "Get out of my way." "I don't think so," Zoro replied, unsheathing Watawakimenji. "You beat up my captain and my student. I can't let you get away with that." "Bring it on," Sarkis challenged. He rushed forward with his curved blade, the weapon that provided his epithet of Big Knife Sarkis. Zoro blocked it effortlessly. "Have you ever heard the name Ruranoa Zoro before? He's some 10 million berry chump from the East Blue," Sarkis responded with some confusion. "I take it that's you?" "I am. And you better remember my name because I'm going to be the world's best swordsman, so there's no shame in losing." "Losing what?" Sarkis snapped, pulling back to slash at the green-haired swordsman. "I'm a man worth 38 million berries. I won't lose to a stuck-up bastard like with barely a move." Zoro shot past the other pirate before he could move and was slowly sheathing his sword. As soon as Watawakimenji clicked into place, the cut across Sarkis' chest, right over the line of his tattoo, opened and he fell, unconscious. The rest of Bellamy's crew shook with fear and anger. Their ship was sunk, their captain and first mate were down for the count without really any energy given from the other crew, and the Saruyama alliance was getting back up. They were outmatched, outgunned, and had no real means of escape. "Now give back whatever you took and get out of here," Luffy ordered. The bag containing Cricket's gold fell to the earth and the pirates bolted, only two going out of their way to grab Sarkis and Bellamy before they left. "Shishishi," Luffy laughed as they faded from sight. "That was fun." "Thank you," Cricket coughed. "And I see you got a Southbird. No clue how you managed that without tying it up, but whatever. We've got work to do if we want to make sure your ship can make it through the knock-up stream." "Then let's get to it," Luffy answered. "Skypia, here we come." "Hey, Captain Luffy?" Koby asked as he, his captain, and Grace watched, almost everyone else working on the Mary. Luffy had been kicked out due to his inability to not break things, Koby had been the unfortunate victim when Usopp turned with the board, and Grace was just being lazy. She had forced Koby into his Dino mode and was using him like a very big pillow. "Yeah?" Luffy answered. "I've been thinking that's dangerous," Grace quipped. "I've been thinking," Koby began again, "Nami's hometown had been overrun by pirates who claimed it as their turf, right?" "Yeah?" Luffy questioned. "And? What if the same thing happens to your village? Or what if Syrup Village is attacked and we aren't there to protect it?" "Oh Goda, you're right. Do you have an idea for that?" "I think we should send flags to each of the islands or villages where we gained a crew member, at least the defenseless ones. You know, claim them as our turf. You've become really infamous, after all, so our flag would ward off a lot of the small-time pirates in the East Blue." "I like that idea," Luffy nodded. How many flags is that?" "Well," Koby began, "there's your island, Gecko Island for Usopp, Kokoyashi for Nami, and Drum Island for Chopper. That's 4. Are there any other places you want to add? What about where I got you and Zoro? Shell's Town? It has a marine base. We can't claim it. At least, not without storming it and kicking them all out. Then what about Alabasta? I suppose we could send one to Vivi, but the political backlash might hurt the kingdom if she flies it." 5 flags, Luffy finalized. Fushop Village, Usopp's home, Kokoyashi Village, Chopper's Island, and Alabasta. Grace nudged Koby. "Paint. Go get it. The dinosaur side." "Fine. I'll be back in a second." Luckily, they had just enough time to run into town and send the flags Grace painted off with some package gulls, larger carrier birds related to the news coups that always delivered the newspaper. The advertisements guaranteed 5-day delivery. The knock-up stream was even more terrifying and exhilarating than Reverse Mountain had been. By the time the Straw Hats and the Monkey Brothers left that morning, the Going Merry had been reinforced and outfitted with wings, a tail, and chicken decorations. The only one who hadn't been impressed was Zoro, who claimed, "It looks stupid. Chickens don't know how to fly, we should have dressed it up like a pigeon." Either way, the Merry arrived at the designated place within an hour to spare, which was a good thing since their estimates had been off. The knock-up stream was about to happen. Much to Usopp's, Nami's, Amy's, Grace's, and Koby's dismay, the Merry sailed directly into the giant whirlpool that formed. The man from Mocktown with the black hair and his crew appeared, apparently wanting to claim the bounties on Luffy's, Zoro's, Jin's, and Koby's heads. Before they could, however, the knock-up stream blasted the Merry upward and shattered the man's smaller raft. The Going Merry pitched at a near 90-degree angle and only survived through Nami's quick orders. They literally flew the last half of the way up the knock-up stream and into the clouds. Unfortunately, the Merry did not make it through the clouds unscathed. The thicker-than-average clouds managed to rip off most of the wings and tear the sail by the time the ship came to rest on a white sea. The crew were all lying on the deck, each week in their own puddle of water. "Did we have to come up that way?" Amy questioned hotly, hugging Grace close. "I'm sure there had to be another way." "Come on, guys," Luffy snickered. "That was fun." "No it wasn't." Koby, Usopp, Chopper, and Nami yelled. "Have you all even looked at where we are?" Zoro questioned, pointing out over the ship's railing. The crew gasped. The ship was sailing over a sea of clouds. But, Nami gaped. "This shouldn't be possible." "Nothing is impossible, Miss Navigator," Robin chuckled. "What does the log pose say?" "It's still pointing up," Nami answered with a frown. "Does that mean we still need to go up?" Koby asked. "The air is too thin already." "Ahhhh." Chopper screamed. The binoculars he'd been using to scan the horizon fell to the deck. "There's a crazy guy blowing up ships. He's heading this way." "I thought we were the only ones that came up," Amy muttered. Out of nowhere, a tan man in a grass kilt, a tiki mask, and shoes with little shells on them blurred into view on the railing. His torso was left bare to show his six-pack, and a bazooka rested on his shoulder. He fired. Jin moved as fast as he could, which was slower than he was used to due to the thinner air 7,000 meters in the air. He just made it, his tonfa batting the cannonball. The bazooka fired up past the mast to explode harmlessly. Tiki Guy grunted in displeasure before blurring out of focus, moving too quickly for the straw hats to react. Jin, Zoro, Luffy, Sanji, and Koby were thrown off their feet, each of them having either pulled out their weapons or falling into a fighting stance, and the man reappeared in the air, his weapon reloaded. Pya-a. A bird called. A man in a full suit of armor appeared out of nowhere, his spear catching Tiki Guy in the stomach and launching him into the clouds. Armor Guy fell to the upper deck by Nami's tangerine orchard, and a large, pink bird with brown spots landed next to him. Only the white beard that fell down to his legs was not covered by his armor. So cool. Luffy, Usopp, and Chopper gasped. I am the Sky Knight, the man said gruffly. I take it you travelers are from the Blue Sea, yes? What do you mean? Amy asked as the men pulled themselves up. We of the White Sea, and the White Sea call those who are not from the clouds Blue Sea dwellers. That is where you are from, correct? Yes, it is, Robin nodded. As I thought. You travelers must be careful, for you may encounter other guerrilla warriors who would like nothing more than to make you food for the sky fish. Of course, you could always buy an emergency whistle from me for only 1,000,000 XTOL, and I would protect you then. I am a soldier for hire, after all. How much is an XTOL? Nami questioned. Thanks, but no thanks, Luffy answered the man. I'm getting used to the air already. You can't have adjusted that quickly. The Sky Knight cried. Wait, why are you only adjusting now? And why do you not know of XTOLs? You should have been able to exchange money back on one of the earlier islands. There were others islands? Jin growled as Nami started shaking Luffy for making them ride the knock-up stream. That means there was another way to get here. Don't tell me you Blue Sea dwellers actually rode up on that stream. To think that there are people still willing to do that. Did all of you make it? All of us are here, Robin nodded. Then your risk was worth it. If you had taken the other route, maybe one or two of you would have arrived alive. Not many people take the knock-up stream anymore, since it is an all-or-nothing gamble. Either everyone lives, or everyone dies. Here. The man dropped a whistle on the deck of the ship. For your bravery, I will bestow upon you this emergency whistle. If you blow it, I will come to your aid. But be warned, it has one use before I take it back. Before you go, Koby stopped him. Could you please direct us toward Skypia? 'Tis that way, the man answered, pointing toward a cloud formation that looked like a waterfall. Also, I am known as Ganfall, and this is my partner, Pierre. He is a bird that ate of a horse fruit. To show off, Pierre transformed into a Pegasus which Ganfall climbed onto. Farewell, travelers. Ganfall called as he flew off. That was interesting, Sanji muttered, breaking the tension on the ship. The crew got to work, sailing the Mary toward the path they had been given. After battling skyfish seekings and bouncing on what the crew dubbed cloudbergs, the Mary finally reached an entrance called Heaven's Gate. The lights on the gate would have made a certain flashy captain very proud. Inside, they met an old woman with wings. She was wearing a pink dress that covered nearly all of her short frame and had gray hair styled into 2 buns. Taking out a camera, she snapped a picture of every one of the straw hats before introducing herself as Amazon, the keeper of the gate. Are you here for sightseeing or plunder and conquest? She asked nonchalantly, as if pirates came for plunder and conquest every other day. Sightseeing, I guess, Amy shrugged. Good to know. That will be 1,000,000,000 XTOLs for each of you for the entree fee. What if we don't have any XTOLs? Koby asked. Will be due. Don't go giving away my money. Nami scolded. 1 biri is about 10,000 XTOLs, Amazon answered. If you are paying in biris, then that would be 10 million biris for each of you, So 110 million berries total. We could just hand over our shitty captain and Koby, Sanji suggested. They're worth that much together. Hey! The two wanted pirates yelled. I don't want to pay that much, Nami whined. Come on. Zoro rolled his eyes. After raiding Gaspar's ship, taking the winnings from Partia, and all that stuff we took from the Rainbow Mist, we have more than enough in our hold to pay. Sanji kicked at him in the side, launching the swordsman toward the bow. If the woman doesn't want to pay, she doesn't have to. You wanna go, curly brow? Zoro roared, stomping back toward the cook. Bring it on, shitty swordsman. Sanji responded, the two butting heads. Enough, Jin ordered, beating them both over the head with his danfa. Meanwhile, Koby had convinced the navigator to part with some of her wealth with the argument that, if the city of gold was on Skypiea like some of the rumors the Monkey Brothers had told them claimed, then they could pilfer it, but that was only if they had room in their hold and were able to get around unimpeded. Being criminals in Skypiea would just make them have to run from the law. With a group effort, the needed amount in gold was piled next to the old woman. If she was surprised that they had that much gold in their hold, she didn't show it. Amazon waved her hand as two large claws latched onto the broken wings of the Mary. Skypiea's famous express lobster will take you to the White Sea, Amazon told them. Please enjoy your stay. And the lobster took off. Chapter 31. The first thing the pirates found upon entrance into Godland Skypiea was an angel playing a harp upon a beach of clouds and before a small forest. The angel had blonde hair styled into two braids that ended in balls and two antenna-like tops that also ended in spheres. She was wearing a pink dress without sleeves and sandals on her feet. Two small wings, not even big enough to fly with, sprouted from her back. All in all, she reminded the earliest members of Usopp's girlfriend Taya, just with wings and a different hairstyle. Hesso, the angel greeted as the Mary pulled up, a white fox with an extended snout curling up around her feet. Are you people from the Blue Sea world? If that's what you call it, Luffy responded. Next to him, the only force keeping Sanji on the boat was Jin holding him back in a full Nelson. They had to make a good first impression before releasing the perverted chef onto an island of angels. After all, I'm Luffy, and this is my crew. We just sailed here up a trail of clouds. So you are from the Blue Sea. My name is Conus and this is my pet cloud fox, Sue. Welcome to Skypiea. An angel has come to greet us. Sanji yelled, finally throwing off his friend and noodling over the side of the ship. He knelt, a rose in hand. For you, my dear, a flower of the world below to compliment your beauty from above. That was surprisingly smooth, Amy complimented as the rest of the crew jumped into the shallow, surf-like clouds. The cannon crew members were wearing their Skypiea outfits, but Koby, Jin, Grace, and Amy had changed for the occasion. Koby was wearing a pair of green swim trunks, in place of his usual pants, but his sandals were still in place. He'd also foregone the use of a shirt in preparation of a beach trip, so his torso, well defined after the tortures Oro put him through, was open to the world. He was not topless, however. A thin, white beach shirt split down the front hung over his shoulder to frame his muscles, though Koby still used the sleeves. Finally, his ever-present swords were secured on his back. Much like Koby, Jin was dressed for the beach. He was wearing red swim trunks, gray swim shoes, and a gray tank top. His regular jacket was currently replaced with a short-sleeved one that matched his swimwear. The red dragons of his old outfit were replaced with blue fish patterns along the borders. His headband was still in place on his forehead. Grace's clothing was rather reserved, the girl having limited herself to only 5 different colors. A navy blue one-piece was the center of her outfit, the upper part showing through a see-through, white cover-up. She also had on orange sport shorts and green sandals. Her finger and toenails were each painted a different color, supplementing her usual rainbow-like ensemble, and the red cowboy hat Robin had bribed her with sat on her head. Her palette was strapped to her hip. Where her younger sister was reserved, Amy had no qualms with showing off her body. Copying Nami, Amy wore only a yellow bikini top on her upper body and a lemon-patterned towel rested on her shoulders like a scarf, leaving her almost shoulder-length hair to flow, free of her usual hat. A pair of denim shorts only just covered what they needed to as they sat on her hips. She carried her parasol and a pair of beach sandals, leaving her feet bare at the moment, and her normal lemon earrings were replaced by a pair of lemonade ones, each in the shape of a pitcher. Finally, a pair of sunglasses hid her pale blue eyes. "Tone it back, Romeo," Nami scolded, grabbing the chef's ear and tugging him away from the confused Skypian. "We still need a cook when we leave this island." "But I never want to leave," the chef protested. With Nami keeping Sanji in check, the group talked with Konis for a while longer until her father crashed into the trees while trying to stop his waver, a small, boat-like vehicle with a long handle and 2 shells mounted on the side. After making sure he was okay, the man introduced himself as Pagaya. Pagaya was a man with a bushy, brown beard that hid his mouth and a bald head save for the same antenna-like hairstyle. He wore a brown robe with his small wings showing the same way Konis were. "What is this thing?" Luffy, Usopp, and Chopper admired, crowded around the man's one-person boat. "Ah, that's a waver. It's a very difficult machine to drive. I've been riding one for most of my life, but as you can see, I still can't get the stopping part right. I'm sorry about that. Is it really that hard?" Chopper asked as Luffy swiped the machine out from under Usopp's long nose and ran out into the surf with it. "Yes, it is," Konis answered. "I only just recently got good enough to ride it, and I've been learning how to for nearly 7 years. That's a long time to learn how to drive one vessel," Koby commented. "I mean, I learned how to help sail a ship in 3 months, but..." Captain Luffy. Off in the distance, Luffy had finally lost his balance and tumbled off the waver, falling into the water like clouds below. "He'll be fine," Zoro tried to wave off. Luffy waved at them, losing his strength. "Although I may be wrong," Zoro shrugged off. "Damn it," Koby cursed. "I can't swim anymore, someone go get him." "Luffy!" Chopper yelled, diving into the water. "Not you. Morons," Nami sighed as she and Usopp dove in to get their captain and Zoro waded out to get the doctor. "I don't get it," Luffy whined as they pulled him in. "It's not like I fell in the ocean. Why couldn't I swim?" "I'm sorry, but do you have special powers, by any chance?" Pagaya asked. "Yeah, why?" "As I thought, why don't you all join us for dinner? We can talk more then." "Great. I'm starving." "You're always starving, Don Luffy," Jin chuckled. "All right, everyone," Luffy smiled. "We're going to get food. Hey, Nami." "Where's Nami?" "She's out on the waver," Robin told him. She pointed to where their navigator was out in the surf, handling the vehicle like a pro. "Such skill," Konis gasped. "Are you sure this is her first time on a waver?" The group nodded as Luffy cheered her on, hoping she would teach him how to ride it. Although, there was also an offer of food at the moment. "Nami!" Luffy yelled. "We've been invited to dinner." The orange-haired girl pulled in just enough to yell back. "I'd like to stay out here, if that's fine with you." "I guess that's fine," Luffy called out. He wasn't going to stop her if she was having fun. "Just be careful." "Sure." The rest of the group followed Pagaya, Konis, and Sue back to their home, the older man explaining how the cumulus clouds did not dissipate because they were formed with sea prism stone particles and that the different amounts resulted in either sea clouds or island clouds. That was why Luffy wasn't able to swim after he fell off the waver. Once inside, Sanji and Amy followed Pagaya into the kitchen to learn how to make Sky Island food while the others were introduced to Dials by the blonde angel. "What is this?" Luffy questioned, holding what appeared to be a plain pink shell. "Try talking into it," Konis suggested, pressing down on part of the shell but not providing any explanation yet. Usopp stinks. "Why are you picking on me?" "Now hit the button on the apex of the shell," Conas told him. That's this part, right? The pirate captain clicked the tallest part of the shell, the point moving inward like a button. Usopp stinks. Luffy's voice insulted from the shell. Wow, Luffy admired. Even the shells are making fun of Usopp. You're so mean, the sniper cried. This is a tone dial, Conas finally explained. It plays back whatever is said into it until it's reset. At that point, the food was brought out and the pirates, hungry after their taxing ordeals with the knock-up stream and then the Heaven's Gate Road, ate ravishly. Finally, after they consumed nearly every ounce of food in the house, the youngest swordsman wobbled out to the porch to observe the beautiful view of the white sea, but something was missing. Guys? Koby called. Where's Nami? Much of the group approached with Luffy in the lead. Oh dear, Conas fretted. She may have gone out too far. I do hope she doesn't end up there. There where? Zoro questioned. There is an island only a short waiver ride from here called the Upper Yard, the angel began. It is a holy land and no one is allowed to set foot on it. Your friend may have been curious and stopped there. Amy, go up and find her, Luffy ordered, uncharacteristically serious. The blonde DevilFruit user nodded and opened her parasol. Floating up over the house, much to Pagaya and Kona's shock, the woman was able to see an island covered in monstrous trees and a tiny waiver next to it. I see her. The former Baroque Works agent announced. She's really close to an actual island covered in giant trees. I hope she doesn't incur the wrath of our god, Anaru, Conas whispered. God lives here? Chopper asked. Or someone pretending, Zoro yawned. Are you saying you're an atheist? Robin questioned, turning to Zoro. Not at all, the swordsman responded. The only being with power over this world is the one true Goda and no one else. Someone calling themselves God is probably some egomaniac. God Anaru is all-knowing, Conas told them in a fear-filled voice. Anyone who has set foot on Upper Yard has not lived to tell about it. This god sounds like a bastard, Luffy spat. No, don't say that. Conas cried. He'll hear you. Holy shit. Amy cursed from above them. What the hell was that? What was what? Jin called up. There was this big beam of light that obliterated part of the island out there. It almost hit Nami. She's racing back here. Was that part of God's power? Robin wondered idly. Hey, Conas? Luffy questioned. Do you like living here with this god watching you all the time? Conas did not answer, but her silence told the pirates all they needed to know. Wait a second, Luffy. Usopp tried to protest. This is God you're talking about. I don't want to die today. I've got a woman at home waiting for me. Yeah, Luffy. Chopper added. We can't fight a god. Luffy ignored the panicking teen and doctor as the rest of his crew prepared themselves. They knew where this was going. There was no point in fighting it, that'd just give them less time to prepare. Guys, Luffy finally announced. We're gonna be the crew that kicks God's ass. Luffy. Usopp and Chopper whined. I knew a peaceful trip here wasn't possible, Jin chuckled. I mean, I'm a demon in heaven. It just wasn't going to work. Back when I was a bounty hunter, some people called me the Demon Butcher, Zoro laughed. I guess that makes two of us, Jin. Don't forget me, Robin giggled. My wanted poster reads Devil Child after all. We're just a trio of hell spawn, aren't we? Jin laughed, reveling in an adrenaline rush the likes of which he'd never felt before. Let's go kill God. WHY? Usopp and Chopper cried. The Straw Hats were waiting on the beach when their navigator returned. Luffy. She yelled as she pulled the waiver to a skidding stop. We've got to leave. Now. We aren't leaving, Luffy responded. God's a dick, so we're going to go kick his ass? What? I said I know what you said. Nami cut him off. You want to attack God? Why? He lives on the island you saw, and, from what I've heard, he's a bastard, so we're gonna free Skypiea. You can stay behind if you want. But I'm going to go. I want to stay. Usopp yelled, raising his hand. Me, too. Chopper cried, mirroring the sniper. I'm staying as well, Nami sighed. She wanted to talk Luffy out of it, but when he got like this, there was no talking. You're an idiot, you know that? The girl's hands came up to cup her captain's face. But you're my idiot. I've seen you do the impossible, so just come back. Okay? Rather than give the rubber man any time to answer, she leaned in and kissed him. Koby and Grace turned away, not wanting to see, while Sanji looked like someone just viciously murdered his new puppy, a look he gained every time they kissed in front of him. With motivation like that, Luffy began as they broke apart. There's no way God stands a chance. Smooth and using big words? Nami awed. You are getting smarter. Well, with a teacher like you enough already, Jin grunted. I'd like to get to the part where we raid God's land before your flirting kills Sanji. Right, sorry, Luffy apologized, pulling the whistle from Ganfall off from around his neck and draping it over Nami like a necklace. If you need help, call the armor guy. Everyone going, get on the Mary. Everyone moved, either backing away or heading toward the vessel. And where are you going, little sister? Amy questioned, preventing Grace from boarding the ship. I don't remember saying you could go help us kill God. But I want to help. Grace protested. I've gotten stronger. I can pull my own weight. What's gotten into you? Amy frowned. This to try to impress that pink-haired brat? No. Grace tried to deny without success. Okay, maybe a little, but I can't improve if I don't test myself, big sister. I don't want to have to be protected all the time. How can I paint the world's most beautiful pictures if I don't see everything the world has to offer? Go to damn it, Grace. This isn't a game. You could die. I know that. Then why do you want to risk your life? Why are you? It's my job to protect you. Well, maybe I want to protect you, too. Amy was shocked into silence. In all the time Amy had known the girl who had become her sister in all but blood, she'd never heard her shout that loud or with such conviction. With that in mind, she backed off. Fine, she relented. But I'm not leaving your side the entire time unless I'm forced to. Got that? Grace nodded in acceptance and Amy reluctantly let her pass. I hope you don't mind, Bagheera said, getting the crew's attention, but I took the liberty to outfit your ship with some breath dials to get you to the upper yard. I'm sorry, but they'll fall off when they're empty, so use them carefully. Thanks, old angel guy, Luffy smiled. All right. Full speed ahead. To upper yard. Chapter 32. Your Majesty, a goat man with wings bleated. Your priests have returned. Good, the man leaning on a plush couch answered. He had short-cut blonde hair mostly covered by a white bandana and nothing to cover his toned torso. Baggy orange and black pants covered his legs to his bare feet and his earlobes were stretched down to his chest until ending with a gold piercing each. Instead of wings, he had a circular pole with 4 drums stylized with 3 tomo each protruding from his back. I have a warning for them. Send them in. Right away, my lord. There it is, Luffy smiled. The forbidden land where God lives. Having followed Kona's instructions to paddle around the island to the lovely street docks before taking Milky Road 2, the more courageous Straw Hats had found their way to Upper Yard. Now they were at the entrance, 2 burning torches marking the island's limit while strange statues flanked either side of the path. Further up ahead, deserted ships lined the edges of the river. Well, this looks about as welcoming as to be expected, Jin commented. Let's go. Luffy cheered. Zoro, Jin, Koby, and Sanji heaved, their paddles propelling the Mary through the sea clouds and into Upper Yard. Barely a minute passed before they were attacked. Out of the canopy of giant leaves above them fell large blades, swinging down like great pendulums to cut them as they had every ruined boat that sat on the shores, entire galleons chopped in half like sticks of warm butter. Zoro responded quickly, dropping his oar on the deck of the ship to jump up and slice through the wood, holding each blade and trusting the others to beat them away. Robin worked the breath dials temporarily rigged to the Mary, keeping it moving at a constant speed as the men beat off the traps, Luffy, Jin, Koby, and Sanji being forced to work together to redirect every blade's Oro cut away into the milky clouds below them. "It's a good thing Longnose isn't here," Robin commented in her ever-calm voice. "He would have been crying his head off. I almost wish we dragged him along just to see that." Amy chuckled darkly. Unfortunately, their talk ended there as the next round of traps began, huge wooden spears being fired at the ship. Working quickly, idling, taking note that there were too many for the others to deal with without several impaling the deck, Robin searched out and moved the launchers with liberal use of her devil fruit power. The spears' courses were shifted every way but toward the cloud path the pirates were on, allowing them smooth sailing until the sky lampreys arrived to try to eat them. Luffy took care of the giant bloodsuckers, punching each of them away as the other males got back to rowing. Finally, they were given a choice between 4 doorways: the ordeal of swamp, the ordeal of iron, the ordeal of string, or the ordeal of spheres. "Looks like we have a choice to make," Jin muttered. "Don Luffy, your decision?" "Any meeny miny mo," Luffy muttered, his fingers pointing at each entrance in turn until they landed in the second tunnel from the left. And you are it. "To the ordeal of iron." "Heave!" Sanji yelled as Grace turned the rudder. The Mary steadily drifted through the tunnel until light engulfed it once more. The Straw Hats found themselves on one of 4 crisscrossing paths, theirs steadily climbing upward. "I'm glad you didn't choose the ordeal of spheres, Captain Luffy," Koby grunted through the rowing. "It looks like that path was a waterfall. Or would it be a cloudfall? Either way, I'm not sure the Mary would have survived it." "Of course she would have," Luffy waved off. "Mary's the toughest, most bestest ship on the seas. She can handle anything." "I wouldn't go quite that far, Captain," Robin warned. "I think the Mary may be nearing the end of her life." "No, she's not," the teen denied. "I say that Mary will reach the end of our trip, one way or another, and that's final." "Whatever you say," Robin replied, holding up her hands in a sign of surrender, "but I think right now you should look ahead of us." Luffy twisted around and sprung up to sit on the figurehead. Ahead of them was a small lake of maybe 15 meters in diameter. On the shore sat a giant dog whose fur was a pale gold and whose height was over twice Luffy's. Sitting on the dog's head was a tan man in a green wife beater, loose gray pants, and pointy-ended sunglasses. Tattoos spiraled down his right arm in red ink and wings slightly larger than average grew from his back. He had no hair save for a small beard and his crossed arms rippled with muscles. Leaning against his right shoulder was a sword the length of his torso, a large ball on the end of the handle. "What's that bear guy from Buggy's crew doing up here?" the captain questioned as soon as his eyes landed on the overly large animal. "You're thinking of Richie the lion, tamer," Koby corrected. "That's a dog, not a lion." "Are you sure? It really looks like that lion from that town." "Welcome," the man greeted in a smooth baritone. "I am the Sky Breeder, and this is my dog, Holy. You have chosen the ordeal of iron. I must warn you, though, that you have chosen the hardest of the ordeals. If you wish to talk with God Eneru, you must survive my ordeal, but it has a 0% survival rate." "Good going, Luffy," Sanji yelled, kicking his captain in the head. "Because your stupidity, Robin, Amy, and Grace-chan could to get hurt. I see that you care about each other quite a bit," commented, his dog barking in agreement. "It's good to see that, but I can also see that many sins weigh you down. I will free you from those burdens, and only in death will you truly find fulfillment." "Hell no!" Luffy yelled. "I'm the man who'll be the king of the pirates. I can't do that if I die here. Such a large goal is quite a burden. I'll free you of that, too." "I got this," Luffy began, but Zoro stopped him. "Allow me, Captain," The green-haired man said, Wado stopping the teen's forward motion. He's a swordsman like me. I'll deal with him. Let us do this, then, offered. Choose 2 of your members to battle me and Holy. If both of you win, then I will let you pass, but if either of you lose, Holy or I will kill you all. And if any of the others interfere, I will call the other priests to help me kill you. That's a pretty big assumption about his power, Amy thought aloud. He thinks he could take us all on. Shrimp and I will handle this, Zoro told the others. He trained that dog and I trained Koby, so this is a battle of master's pride. Are you ready, Shrimp? Yes, Zoro-sensei, Koby answered. I'll make you proud. Meet us on the shore, Mordred. You don't want to damage your ship, do you? At least he's polite, Koby muttered as Robin used her powers to drop a vine to them. Taking a deep breath, Zoro swung, yelling ah. What was that? Amy questioned as Koby swung over as well, shouting his own manly cry. Yelling while swinging from a vine is a man's fantasy, Jin answered as he, Sanji, and Luffy nodded sagely to the words. No man may call himself a true man if he swings silently without need to hide. You guys are morons, Grace commented through a rice cracker. The 3 men fell, clutching their hearts. On the shore, Zoro held Wado Akamanji and Kaitetsu 3, his most prized sword pointed at the priest. In response, unsheathed his own sword and threw the sheath behind him. Holy barked and trudged to the side, Koby carefully watching his movements. There was silence. In an instant, all 4 combatants surged forward. Zoro and locked swords as Koby activated his ability and charged, Holy at a gallop with his horns. The giant dog responded by standing on his back 2 feet and catching Koby's top horns with its paws. Like their masters, the 2 began a duel of strength. You are strong, Blue Sea Swordsman, complimented. And your student is well trained. To be able to match Holy in strength, even with an ability like that, is truly impressive. Zoro did not respond. He grunted, separating from the priest and attacking with a flurry of attacks that deflected with his longer sword and the smallest of movements. The contest between Holy and Koby was ending. The dog twisted, throwing the boy toward a tree. While in the air, Koby flipped around and shrunk into his hybrid mode. His feet landed on the bark of the tree as he pulled out his blades. Bull needles. He called, pushing off the tree. Holy jumped over him, Koby twisting around to catch the attack he expected to be there. He wasn't disappointed as the dog's fisted paw impacted with his cross block. The force pushed the younger man back until the dirt under his foot gave way with a soft click. A white barbed wire shot out a tree to his left, forcing the young teen to change into his human form and roll out of the way before retaking his battle stance and hybrid mode. I see your student has learned the true meaning of the ordeal of iron, commented, him and Zoro leaping away from each other covered in superficial cuts. The dirt under the pirate clicked and Zoro ducked, avoiding the wire that shot over him to be embedded in a tree. Those wires are made of ironclad and are triggered by pressure plates I have set up all around this area. That is why I have a 0% survival rate. I don't give a damn, Zoro grunted. Koby and I will defeat you. It doesn't matter what tricks you have up your sleeves. What a lofty goal. Shall I free you? Shut up. Zoro cut him off. He ran forward, preparing an attack. Scowled, not happy about being interrupted, and swung his sword. The blade wavered, become fluid as he swung so it struck like a whip. Aizen whip. Declared. The new attack caught Zoro by surprise, but he managed to avoid being skewered. Instead, he received a gash on his right side. Zoro-sensei! Koby yelled in worry. Holy swept in, punching its distracted opponent in the side. Koby! Zoro fretted. Damn it. I guess now is as good a time as any to test out my new attack. What are you saying? Questioned as Zoro resheathed his kaitetsu. Sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, heart, Zoro incanted ominously. These 6 things ground us in the ways of good, evil, and neutrality. And, of course, each of these can be either pure or impure. These are the 36 earthly desires. What does that have to do with anything? You have a sword, while I have a cannon. You cannot win. You are delusional. I'm done with you. Be freed in death. Aizen whip. 1 sword style, 36 caliber phoenix. Ohm's sword rushed forward, but Zoro's attack would not be deterred and cut through the iron-cloud weapon. Ohm only had time to gasp before the flying slash reached him, cutting deep into his chest. Why is it that you wish to live so badly? Ohm panted, supporting himself with the handle of his sword. Blood oozed from his wound, a gash that went across his stomach. It wasn't life-threatening, but the blood loss would incapacitate him for several days. I have people I can't let down, Zoro told him. My friends are counting on me, I can't just go and die on them. Ohm had no words. He simply tumbled to the ground and blacked out. Meanwhile, Koby and Holy were still duking it out. The dog's paws were covered in superfluous cuts while Koby had a black eye and a small limp in his right leg from where the dog had punched him into a tree. The area around them was filled with barbed wire since Holy kept triggering them to try to stab the younger swordsman. Damn it. Koby cursed. Just go down already. At the word down, Holy dropped to all fours and barked. Sit. Holy sat. Roll over. The dog did so. Knock yourself out? Bringing up one paw, the large dog socked itself in the jaw, knocking itself unconscious. I can't believe it, Koby yawed. That guy trained his dog so well that it'd listen to any order it was given. Hey, shrimp. Zoro called. You done over there? Why yes, Zoro-sensei. Koby replied. He limped over to his teacher, triggering another wire trap that Zoro batted away with Yubashiri. Once he was within arm's length, Zoro gave the boy a hard pat on the back. Good job, kid, Zoro smiled. Bleeding and bruised, master and student swung back to the Mary, again yelling. Damn it, Zoro cursed as he landed, pain flaring up in his injured side. We should have had Chopper come since he's our doctor. You two take a rest, Jin told them, Koby gratefully falling to lie against the railing. Sanji and I will handle the rowing till you're back up. Your orders, Dawn? Keep going, Luffy answered. God should know we're coming, so we won't bother knocking. Robin, hit the dial things. Right away, Captain. Lord Eneru, Ohm had been defeated. Ha ha, Satori laughed. He was a rotund man with flowing red hair and an orange hat. Round sunglasses hid his eyes and a white jumpsuit covered his body. Wings also sprouted from his back. That weakling got what was coming to him. Please, my lord, let me go deal with these criminals that have dared to enter your holy land. No, Eneru answered. These blue sea dwellers have caught my attention. They paid the toll coming in, but have chosen to attack Upper Yard to take me down. What? The remaining priests yelled. To think that there were people foolish enough to believe that they could defeat God. And then they defeated the only ordeal with a 0% survival rate, Eneru continued. I wish to see the faces of these interesting mortals, but first, I think that I'll go get the rest of them. With a flash of light and a whiff of ozone, he vanished. Chapter 33. A priest has fallen, Wiper, a soldier grunted, only his head inside the command tent. How? The man who asked had a deep tan and tattoos along his left shoulder and bicep. His upper half was bare to the world, giving his wings freedom. His lower half was covered only in a brown kilt of leaves and dial shoes. Long brown hair came down to his mid-back in a single braid, keeping the hair away from both his face and the large bazooka on his right shoulder. We aren't certain, the soldier answered, but there were reports of blue sea dwellers from our spies on Angel Island. Apparently, they set out for Upper Yard some time ago. If they are fighting with the priests, this could be the chance we've been hoping for. Get the warriors ready. It's time to finally light the fire of Shandora, once more. Maybe we should have gone with them, Chopper wondered aloud from the couch. They could get hurt. The three who had stayed behind were in Bagheera and Konis' house while the others hunted down God. Konis was in the kitchen, preparing the rest of the food. Off in the corner, Bagheera was tinkering with the old waiver he found on the Mary while installing the temporary breath dials, Sue, sleeping against him. "Don't worry about them," Usopp waved off next to him, whether because he wasn't afraid for the others or because he just didn't want to have had to go as well was unknown. Nami said nothing. She was standing on the patio, staring off toward where Upper Yard was supposed to be. "Here you go," Konis announced, placing the tray of food in front of the girl. "Your friends ate everything father made before, so here is some food just for you." "Thank you, Konis," Nami nodded. "You didn't have to do that. It was my pleasure." Taking the tray, Nami walked back into the house and sat on the opposite couch before placing the tray of food on the table in front of her. While she ate, the others kept up idle chit-chat to keep their minds off the battle they knew must have started by now. "Worried about your crewmates, are you?" a voice questioned. Everyone's head swiveled toward the balcony where Inaru sat, lounging as if he owned the place. "Ah!" Usopp and Chopper screamed, hugging each other. "Weird guy." "Who are you?" Bagheera asked, trying to keep the fear out of his voice. Sue blinked, waking up. "Some followers you are," Inaru chuckled. "You can't even tell, when you're in the presence of your god." "What are you doing here, why your majesty?" Konis tried, hoping that everyone would make it out of this in one piece. "I was bored," God answered, waving his hand absent-mindedly. "Your friends defeated one of my priests. I'm rather surprised, I have to say. But there is still time before they reach the sacrificial altar, so I decided to set up a party, for when they get there." "Sacrificial?" Usopp screamed. "Altar?" Chopper questioned. Not that he knew what an altar was, but it didn't sound good. "Well, sorry, pal," Nami bit out. "We don't want to go to your damn sacrifice party." "Don't make him mad," Usopp yelped, tripping over the table to cover Nami's mouth before she could say more. "I'm afraid you don't have a choice in the matter," Inaru responded to Nami's statement. "Please," Bagheera begged. "These three aren't fighters. They don't wish to be part of the battle." Inaru only let him finish his sentence out of godly courtesy. As soon as he'd finished, though, Inaru pointed his pointer finger at the man. Wordlessly, he fired a compressed ball of lightning that tore through the right side of the Scypion's abdomen like a bullet. Bagheera fell back with the sound of thunder, his blood staining the carpet and a couple of spots on Sue's white fur. The Cloud Fox jumped and hissed. "Father!" Konis cried, running to his side. Usopp whipped out his slingshot and fired 3 lead stars, but the attacks went through the aggressor. Inaru turned toward the sniper, zapping forward to press one finger to his temple. With a single shot, Usopp was unconscious and spasming on the floor. "Usopp!" Chopper screamed as smoke rose from his friend's mouth. "You monster!" The doctor charged the god figure in his heavy point, but he was met with the same fate. Sue growled and leapt at the blonde, but Inaru snatched her out of the air by her tail, holding the struggling animal at bay. With a TSK, he swung the fox around until her body impacted one of the walls, the poor animal coughing up blood. "Sue!" Konis cried, but she did not move from where she was trying to stop her father's bleeding. Panicking by this point, Nami brought the whistle to her lips and blew as hard as she could, the high pitch causing Inaru to flinch. He lightning traveled forward and backhanded the girl, ending the sound. "Shut up, you pathetic mortal," Inaru hissed. Your shrill cry rivals that of a banshee. The navigator moved to blow the whistle again, but the man of lightning moved faster. Grabbing the noisemaker, he supercharged his hand, heating the metal to the point where it melted between his fingers. That painful thing destroyed, God knocked both Nami and Konis unconscious the same way he had with the male pirates. Since no one was in any shape to fight anymore, Inaru rounded up the unconscious and slung them over his shoulders, leaving Bagheera and Sue. You'll never get away with this," Bagheera coughed. red falling from his lips and coloring his beard. He will return. And when he does, the true God will take his throne one more. As much as I would love to kill you, old man, Eneru began, I can't. I still need you to give a message to that has-been if he shows up. Tell him that the final battle has begun and that I refuse to lose to a soft-hearted old man like him. Remember that. In a flash of light, the current ruler of Skypiea left, taking the 4 unconscious teens with him. Pagaya stayed still, keeping pressure on his wound so as to not bleed out, the silence of the room broken only by the labored breathing of Kona's pet. About 3 minutes passed before a well-known call sounded and a pink bird with brown spots landed on the windowsill. It appears I'm too late, Ganfall sighed sadly. No, Pagaya coughed, pain flaring from his wound. He took them to the upper yard. Please, he has my daughter and the visitors. Save them. I'll save you first, Ganfall answered, pulling a bundle of cloth from his pack. He bandaged the man, Pierre moving over to Sue to care for her. Please, God, Pagaya rasped just before the pain took him into unconsciousness. He said that the final battle has begun. Please. He trailed off and passed out. Rest now, Ganfall ordered. Pierre, it's time to go. We're taking this man and the Cloud Fox back to our homestead before setting out for Upper Yard. It's time we finished this once and for all. Paya. This is boring, Luffy whined as he draped himself over the figurehead. The Mary had been steadily cruising along the Milky Road for nearly half an hour and there had been no action, much to Koby's relief since that gave him and Zoro time to rest. Luffy, on the other hand, wanted something to fight. The section of forest they were in ended, spitting the Mary, out in a field covered in crisscrossing milky roads and human skulls on spikes. That's a nice image, Amy remarked dryly. It could be worse, Zoro shrugged. Yes, it could, Robin agreed. They could still have flesh on them. Robin. Koby yelped while Grace drove for the railing to avoid losing her lunch on the deck. That's not okay. Amy yelled, agreeing with Koby for once. Amy-kun is stunning when she's angry. Sanji noodled. And Robin-kun is beautiful when she's imagining morbid scenery. The Mary continued forward, twisting its way toward where all the paths combined to climb up the largest tree any of the pirates had ever seen. Suddenly, a war call from the left attracted the crew's attention. They turned to see an army coming toward them, each armed with a heavy weapon of some sort and dressed in light clothing of plant material. Most of the army flew over them, only giving the pirates half a glance, but the leader flipped and fired his bazooka. Luffy responded much faster than he had the first time and inflated to repel the projectile with a gum-gum balloon. Many warriors' eyes widened at the act while the leader's narrowed. That is not normal, he grunted, landing on a tree branch, not even from those of the blue sea. He must have eaten of a devil fruit. Hey, you bastards! Luffy yelled angrily. What do you think you're doing, firing at our ship? You were in our way, the leader of the army answered, but you are not as weak as I had thought. Why are you here? We're here to kick God's ass? Luffy answered. He's a dick and I don't like what I heard about him! I see. Wiper, a woman with long black hair said, jumping up to rest on the same branch as the leader. We were told that some Blue Sea dwellers had come to Upper Yard, then we got the report that one of the priests was defeated. Could these be the ones responsible? If they are, a large man commented, the top half of his face covered in a toboggan, do we want them as our enemies? The enemy of our enemy is our friend, as the teachings of Calgary say. We are here to defeat the man known as Eneru. Wiper finally announced. Have you heard that name or the word Shandora before? I don't think so, Luffy pondered. You never think, moron, Sanji sighed. Eneru was the name of the god of Skypiea. Oh. Then we're here to beat up this Eneru guy. Is there any way we could use these people to help us kill Eneru? The woman whispered so the pirates wouldn't be able to hear her. It sounds like they want the same thing we do, the large man grunted. We will leave them be, Wiper ordered. If they get in our way, though, we will take them out without mercy. Understood, the woman and man answered. Be gone. Wiper ordered. But stay out of our way, don't get in our way and we won't have a problem. Zoro responded as the Mary began climbing up an incline and out of sight of the army. The small ship continued up until reaching the apex, giving the crew a view of the entire island. Off toward where the army had headed, an explosion ripped through several trees. A stalk spiraled out into the air from the center of the island, 2 island clouds, stuck near the top giving it a second and third layer. The path below them twisted into a counterclockwise corkscrew. Several members screamed, drowning out their captain's laughter as the Mary tipped and began her acceleration. Sharks! Amy yelled, clutching the railing so tightly that she was losing blood circulation in her fingers. At the bottom of the path, where the milky road ended in a lake of sea cloud, a swarm of sky sharks waited with their mouths open. Luffy hopped onto his captain's seat and threw a gum-gum gatling at them, beating them away. Hitting the clouds with a splash, the Mary slowing drifted to what appeared to be a small pyramid in the center of the lake. Ooh, Luffy awed. What's this? It appears to be an altar, Robin answered, studying the symbols carved into the stone. I'm not sure what it's for, but there are stairs leading to the top. Yahoo! The teen cheered, jumping off the Mary. Zoro followed and Amy floated upward. What the swordsman questioned. Lying on the altar's platform were Nami, Usopp, and Chopper, each unconscious and with their hair standing on end. Suddenly serious, Luffy stepped over to the orange-haired girl's side and kneeled to gently shake her shoulder. Nami, he whispered as Zoro made his way to Usopp and Amy to Chopper. Nami, what happened? I thought we left you guys back with Konis and her dad. Nami was stirring, but it was Usopp who answered the question as he bolted upright. No. Leave us alone. Calm down, Usopp, Zoro said. What happened? What? Zoro? Luffy? Wait, but that means… Shit. We're in the Forbidden Land, aren't we? The sniper's voice, which had started out as a shout, had fallen to a whimper by the end. What happened, Long Nose? Amy demanded, considerably less gentle than the captain and first mate. God attacked us, the sniper whimpered as Chopper bolted upright, screaming. He shot Bagheera and hit us with this weird technique. All our attacks just went through him. Sounds like this god has a Logia DevilFruit, Robin commented, stepping over the small lip around the altar's platform. It seems Mr. Swordsman was right, we aren't facing God, just someone with that title. Nami was the last one to wake up. Whereas Usopp and Chopper had jumped up, she slowly came to, the image of her significant other swimming into view. Luffy? She asked, her throat sore. She hadn't drunk very much before Eneru appeared and the electricity had evaporated some of the water in her system, so she was rather dehydrated. What? Where are we? Take it easy, the teen ordered. We found you 3 on top of some altar. 3? But there should be. Wait. Where's Konis? He took Konis, too? Luffy's eyes hardened, an almost heavy feeling beginning to surround him. That bastard. I'm afraid there's nothing we can do right now, Captain, Robin commented, pointing at the fading source of light in the distance. The sun is setting. We'd only get lost at night, so we might as well make camp on shore and regain our energy. But that asshole has Konis. Luffy tried to argue. We can't do anything, Zoro grunted. I doubt even the Love Cook could find her in this forest at night, and that's without a non-human madman holding her prisoner. I'm with them, Amy added. Walking around an unknown forest at night is suicide. But… Luffy turned to Nami, hoping she'd back him up, but there was only pained acceptance in her eyes. Fine, he growled. We'll wait until tomorrow, but if that bastard does anything to her, why don't we throw a party to try to take our minds off it? Robin suggested. That's one thing I've learned this crew is good at. All right. But still, the camp was set up and the festivities began. End of chapter 55. Not quite the explosion you all were expecting, eh? People like Inaru, or Ino for those of you who like that. Personally, I think Inaru rolls off the tongue better, like to play with their prey and refuse to believe anyone could harm them, no matter what handicaps they give themselves. He wants everyone in on this game. All the pirates, anyway. Conus. Let's say I might get some hate for what's coming. It's nothing permanent. Except maybe the mental scars. Anyway, read and review. SwordOfTheGods.